instead off to the outside, try to open up the corner, and wow, great move from Oliveira. Can he get this one right back? Cavisto's not done, but he carries the speed well. Oh, nearly. Once again, banging doors. Inside for Piper. If he can keep it on the track, he doesn't. Oh, wheels spinning up the grass as Cavisto somehow doesn't get into the wall. 3 wide, down into Hobbs, and diving it deep. Olivier really wants that spot.
This was on my side monitor, and I watched him flash through here. This is insane. Look at it, offline, in the marbles, gets around Mr. Sneaky. I think we're going to have to change Mr. Sneaky from Takeshi Kita to Gunderson.
He's got a little bit of an overlap, and he's got the right-hand side. DJ seems to think that's the place to go. Will that be the case? He gains a little bit back, but now it's going to switch back in favor of David Burns. He carries it around the outside with a ton of speed, but he keeps it well, and he's got a nose ahead coming off the corner. Burns has better momentum. He has got it. David Burns will win here in Canada.
Watch how close this gets. Andrew Hardman, king of going up the inside, decides to go around the outside. Overprotected going into there. Hardman actually in the lead at this point. Waring comes back and says, nope, I'm not letting you have it. I'm taking one of the 10,000 lines and going through 10 and gets back into the lead. This was a pass on the last lap that became an unpass as they went into that final corner. Good defense from Waring. Hardman trying to go around the outside, gets the power down, but just doesn't quite have enough to make it. But that was some amazing racing.
And Challoner is going to try it, and they're going to go 3 wide. That's his teammate, is it not? One of our Evolve drivers, but it looks like Challoner can't quite make the pass. Andrew Waring trying to come back through as he cuts underneath a savvy move from the number 5, and he's going to have that 3rd place.
To most race fans, the month of May is synonymous with the greatest race in the world, the Indianapolis 500. But in lesser-known fact, the month of May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and tonight we combine the two for a good cause. This is the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500 at the world-famous virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hi, I'm Joey Tebben, and with me in the booth is Derek Watson. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This is the most famous racetrack in the world, but let's head over to our GSRC track guide to learn a little bit about why this place has stayed so special for over a century.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see our guide around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The first motorsports competition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway took place in 1909. The track's original surface of crushed stone and tar proved problematic. The owners paved the track with more than 3 million bricks, giving rise to the nickname the Brickyard. Indy isn't known for its banking, with only 9 degrees of banking in all 4 corners. Indy is unique because those 4 corners are individual corners. Each is separated by a short chute. Turn 1, you find yourself battling tunnel vision with the grandstands and pit road on both sides of the track closing in as you're trying to hit your mark. Turn 2 and down the backstretch, the drivers are often facing wind. Turns 3 and 4, also known as the north end of the speedway, flow exactly like turns 1 and 2. Surviving 2 world wars, 10 popes, and older than sliced bread, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the most historic racing venue in America. Stepping onto the hallowed grounds of Indy, you feel over the 100 years of history. Winning at Indy requires all of the luck, skill, drive, and determination that you have. Many have come to taste the milk and have left empty-handed. The yard of bricks at the start-finish line pays tribute to the original surface. Kissing the bricks at Indianapolis Motor Speedway after your victory has quickly become an Indy tradition. With that being said, that's just scratching the surface of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And when you think about it, all these drivers are just chasing a glass of milk over 3 feet of bricks. It's amazing how those simple things mean so much to so many people. This has been our guide to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Strap on in and enjoy the show.
And that was your GSRC track guide for the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Derek, I called this place the most famous racetrack in the world, and that may be a matter of an opinion, but I would argue that objectively, this is still a very special track, isn't it?
A very special track. It's, if not the most famous, it's definitely top 5 up there with other historic racetracks. But it's a, you look at the pictures, it's a simple track. It's 4 corners, 2.5 miles, 9 degrees of banking. But despite being simple looking, there'll be a lot of challenges tonight as far as getting in and out of these corners safely, using the draft correctly. This will be a very interesting race, and one driver is hoping to kiss the bricks when it's all over.
We will be running a full 500 miles tonight as we take a look at the race details here tonight. Derek, talk us through these.
Yeah, so of course, as you said, it's an Indianapolis 500. It's 200 laps around this historic place. We're using the current Indy car, the Dallara IR18 in iRacing. This is fixed setups. Everyone's going to start with the same car. We'll talk about that, though. There are still some adjustments you can make. No spare car tonight. And then a stop-and-go penalty at 15x, and you will be DQ'd at 19x. I don't suspect those will come into play, Joey, just simply because these are the kind of cars you don't get too many incidents in and still walk away from it.
Yeah, a crash in an Indy car is usually as similar to a plane crash as you can get in a car. But as we look at the track, 5 minutes remain in practice, just a 30-minute practice session before the qualifying begins for this Sim Racers for Mental Health 500. At the top of the timesheets is Tim Tomez. He is the number 53 car, currently up there with the first time under a 39.5. But we have to remember that some of these times are tow times, some of them are no tow times, so we don't really know the pace of every driver until we get into qualifying.
No, we really don't. That's exactly true, because obviously, as you said, towing or drafting can be a big difference here at this track. It can be a big difference both at speed and at handling. That's something we're going to talk about throughout the race, is how does your car handle whether you are behind someone or not behind someone. So we'll see what happens here in practice. I mean, currently right now, you see Tim Tomez leads us around practice at a 39.494. And we're watching some action here on screen as practice wraps up.
Tim Tomez, a very prosperous Indy fixed racer. I know I've seen him in plenty of sessions running those cars and winning in those cars, so he's got to be one of the favorites. Lots of familiar names in this field to those who are familiar with the IndyCar community on iRacing, and lots of drivers who fans will be familiar of from last or previous Sim Racers for Mental Health events. William Kruska's here, and a bunch of others fill out this field. At the moment, it looks like it's a 27-car field, and that's pretty stout. That's a lot of cars to go around this track for 500 miles.
It is, and it's not that far off of a, dare I say, a real Indy 500 field, which only does, I think, somewhere in the low 30s typically for a field. So this can be about a regular Indy 500 field. I think the one difference we're going to see, well, probably a few, but the one we'll see, of course, is the start. We're only going to do it 2 wide. We'll let the pros stick to the 3 wide stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is a great event that runs every year. This is not their first year doing it. William does a great stuff with the Sim Racers for Mental Health events that happen and are broadcasted regularly here on GSRC. So I'm excited to see what comes of tonight's event.
3 minutes remain in practice here. Qualifying will be 4 laps, so similar to the real Indy 500, qualifying we'll see in a couple weeks. It is 4 laps, but it's not a 4-lap average. It will still be the fastest lap that puts you on pole. The slowest lap puts you at the back, but plenty of time, and looks like we're going to write off plenty of cars as the drivers try and find the limits of the track. That's Latham Joyner writing that car off in true Tony Kanaan style in 2018. It looked a lot like that to me.
Yeah, it's going to happen a lot here where drivers are going to try to push the limits through those corners. You want to dig down in there right up against those lines, and you're going to find the grass, and this car does not appreciate that. I think we're watching Anthony Garcia go around here. Going to watch him track out of this corner. Look at him get down here. Yeah, see that. You see there, it doesn't look that close from up high, but when you're in the car, you're trying to get as close to that white line without touching it. And we're watching him going 220 down the back straight here. Watch him into this corner. Yeah, that's about where you want to be.
And there are tools available to be used, even though it is a fixed set race. As always, in these Indy fixed races, you can adjust your weight trackers, you can adjust your brake bias, you can adjust a bunch of other things, and the drivers will have to use their tools, as they say, over the course of the race. And lap traffic, or not necessarily lap traffic, but traffic, dirty air. That's always something we talk about in these IndyCar races. There seems to be quite a lot of it.
It really is. I remember the first time I raced an IndyCar in iRacing, I was stunned at that dirty air and how awful it was, honestly. How much it affects the car. Your car handles one way when it's by itself as you're watching this car go down here into 3. But when you're behind someone, it's like it doesn't want to turn. Now, of course, with the IR18s, it's a little bit better, but that's still a factor here. But yeah, you mentioned the weight jackers. We'll talk about that throughout the night. For those who maybe are NASCAR fans, you'll hear that maybe referred to in ways of making you tighter or looser. Typically a wedge adjustment in NASCAR. We have weight jackers here in IndyCar that you can move in the car lap per lap if you want to, and you have to if you want to be successful here, because as these tires wear off, they're going to get loose. You're gonna want to loop the car around unless you're playing with that weight jacker.
Those weight jackers and anti-roll bars are like another language. I always think I've figured them out, and then you've got drivers that have been driving these Indy cars weekly for years, and they just speak another language. 15 seconds left to go in practice. Nobody's been able to touch Tim Tomez's time. A couple drivers will finish their final laps here. David Graybill, 5th on the timesheets. That's going to be pretty solid for him. David Grantham, John Silva, and Matt Brewer round out the top 5 in practice. But now as we switch over to qualifying, as Lee Diffie would say, this is go fast day, it's go fast time, and this is where the laps are really going to matter.
Yeah, this is exactly where the laps are going to matter, and they're going to happen fast here. I mean, think about it in practice, 39-second laps for a 2.5 mile track. That's a fast speed.
The gun has gone off. The proverbial gun has gone off for qualifying. The timer has started. I do not see anybody out on track just yet. We wait for all the cars to load into the pit lane as the clock begins ticking. Lap times were just under 40 seconds for the majority of the field, so 4 laps should take you a little bit under 3 minutes, so drivers do have time to wait, but some do not seem interested in waiting, and they're going straight out. David Grantham appears to be the first car out of the box. I see Aiden Aquino and a few others starting their qualifying runs here.
Yeah, I think that's a mental game you play as a driver about how you qualify or when you qualify. Sometimes you want to be the guy who sets the pace. You want to be the guy who goes out there and sort of shows his hand, slams it down on the table and says, here's the pace, go meet it. Someone like me, I want to know what my goal is. I want to know what I have to push for. I like waiting. So sometimes it is a mental game. This is a constant weather here in this race. You're not going to get an advantage by waiting for the track to cool off or heat up or anything during qualifying. It's just about that mental game and knowing, what's doable or what you need to do to achieve success here.
Take a look at the track temp here. 120, almost 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That is quite a slick track, but it doesn't seem to be affecting David Grantham too badly here. This has been a pretty tidy run. We won't know if it's been a fast run, though, until he rounds turn 4 here.
Now we're going to watch him round turn 4 and come out. See him now come up the front straight here, this historic track. It's going to, pass across the bricks, what I was trying to say. And let's see what the time is for that.
39.5, exactly what he ran in practice. So that might have been a no-toe time in practice. David Graybill beats his fellow David to the top of the timesheets. It's David Graybill on pole at the moment. Aiden Aquino goes to 3rd, and times are starting to flow in.
Yeah, times are going to flow in, and what's going to happen here more than likely as you get 4 laps to do this here is the times are going to continue to flow in throughout the laps because this car is going to get faster. You're going to build momentum. You'll burn a little fuel off. So this is going to be exciting for all 4. See now Tim Tomez, a iRacing IndyCar Open Series regular, is going to now take the pole with a 39.491.
Looks like Tim actually parks it after lap 1, so he's determined that it's better to go for a few one-lap runs. You can do that with 4 laps available. You don't have to do all 4 laps in succession. You can bring the car back to the pits, reset, and go for another quick run, multiple quick runs. So Tim Tomez is going to do that. Looks like David Graybill chose to do that. But Lucas Davila, he's still out on track. He set a 39.5 on his first lap. His second was a 39.6. So with these 120-degree track temps, I don't think the second, third, or fourth lap could ever actually be faster.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it all depends on how you run your first lap. But yeah, I mean, that does seem to be the pace so far. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens. We're now going to watch Jason Chilton here coming around the corner.
Jason Chilton, as far as I know, not related to Max, who almost won here about 5 years ago. Rounds turn 4. I don't believe this lap is going to count. I believe this is a warm-up lap for Mr. Jason Chilton, the driver of the number 14. Crosses the line. Yep, it is a warm-up lap. We'll see what he's got in the tank in approximately 4 corners time. Most of the field has qualified. We've got 19 drivers with a time on the board, but it is Tim Tomez on top. Last car to qualify, Russell Peets, down in 19th, but I believe he just improved. Shot up the timesheets. Where did he go? I can't see him anymore. He's 17th.
Yeah, an interesting thing to note here is we're going to watch now Russell Peets turn some laps here. You talked about during practice with those times, actual times or toe times. Apparently for Tim Tomez, by the way, that was an actual time. He was almost identical between practice and qualifying, by the way.
Just saw Jason Chilton cross the lines, only a 39.8. That's only enough for 17th place, and it continues to fall down to 18th. Drivers like to slot in those high 10s. Kruska 11th. Rickard goes up to 12th. Jason Chilton still moving around. Silvio Roberto Sanchez crossing the line. Doesn't improve. It's consistent. It's 2:39.5s, but he's going to stay in 6th.
Yep. So yeah, see, times are still flowing in here. Some of these guys who wanted to wait to see what the goal was are now coming in. See Glenn Fagan here. Kind of weaves the car down the front straight there. I thought maybe he was calling it, but I guess not. I'm not sure there. This is now Matt
Brewer.
Yeah, Matt Brewer from Indiana. Indiana native, a fellow Hoosier. Probably takes a lot of pride in the singing of My Indiana Home before the start of the race.
I am more than willing to sing that song with you. That would be great to open this broadcast, but I don't think the viewers would want that. Matt Brewer, I think we lost him. Oh no, time is up. Time is up. Time has ended. It flew by, and I didn't even get to see Matt Brewer complete a lap. So one of the fastest drivers in practice will be starting shotgun on the field, but it is Tim Tomez on pole alongside Lucas Davila, John Silva. Great lap up into 3rd. David Graybill in 4th, and the fellow David Grantham, and Silvio Roberto Sanchez round out row 3. Zach Kerr, Aiden Aquino, row 4, and row 5, another Indy open and fixed regular, Isaac Snyder, and Anthony Garcia. That's your top 10.
Let's go ahead and continue on down the field here. Starting in row 6, you have William Kreska, our event host, in 11th. Scott Rickard will start 12th outside row 6. Latham Joyner and Jason Chilton will be in row 7. Ken Rigel and Evan Lambert will be in row 8. Matt Crockett and Nick McClelland in row 9. And rounding out your 10th row will be Chris Go and Russell Peets.
And 7 more cars. Glenn Fagan, Matt Zaccardo, last 2 cars to qualify. Eric Jeffrey, Pedro Palladino, Jeremy Garand, Wilhelm Layton, and Matt Brewer round out the field of 27. We're missing 2 rows to get that full field, but that's okay. 27 cars, still plenty of cars. Put on quite a show here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And 2 of these drivers are especially special. We've got 2 drivers who have luckily decided to turn their cameras on. Isaac Snyder, as usual, has his camera on. We always see him on the Majors broadcast. He's always got that camera on. We'll be watching Isaac try to make his way forward in the field. 9th place isn't as far back as he could be, but it's still further back than he'd like. And we've got 1 other camera further up the field. Lucas Davila starting 2nd. We're going to be seeing him. It's a much more head-on. We'll see the focus from Mr. Davila as he starts on the outside of the front row alongside Tim Tomez.
Yeah, and that outside the front row, that's a difficult starting spot to say the least. Actually, that's the hardest one for me to ever start in. You have a hard time judging the start. So his focus in the beginning will be super heavy, as he wants to time the start correctly.
The iRacing Mustang pace car pulls off the grid, and we are rolling for 1 pace lap, only 1 pace lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then it'll be 200 laps, 500 miles. We won't be going 3 wide. I wish we could, but we have to follow iRacing's rules, and it will be a 2 wide start, but still plenty of drama, as we'll have Davila starting to the outside of Tomez. 27 cars, 500 miles. This is going to be pretty exciting, Derek.
It is going to be exciting. Something I want to point out, in case you're new to an Indy 500 broadcast, this will be our only 2 wide start of the evening. IndyCar rules dictate that we go single file after this first start. So soak in this restart. It's your only 2 wide one of the night.
Hopefully we have minimal single file restarts. Hopefully there's minimal cautions. Remember back to the Indy 500 in real life last year, there were only 2 cautions. So hopefully we can replicate that here, have a nice clean race, and hopefully have a record number of cars running at the finish. And I'm sure all the drivers are also hoping that as well. Tim Tomez, you can see his rear, or see out of his rear there. That's John Silva in the number 9. David Graybill behind. As we round turn 3 here, you can feel the tension rising. Everybody's ready for 500 miles at Indianapolis. You can see some drivers trying to warm up the tires, warm up the brakes, doing anything they can to get a good jump here. But as we round turn 4, the virtual fans, I'm sure, are on their feet. And in a matter of moments, we will be going green for the very first sim racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. It's the month of May. It's Indy 500 month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And Tim Tomez hopes it's Tim Tomez month. We're green for the sim racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. No trouble through turns 1 and 2. I see every car still pointing in a straight line, but it was an incredible getaway from Tim Tomez as he now tries to run away from the chasing Lucas Davila.
That was a great start by Tomez up front and a great start by the field. Everyone pretty much has already single-filed this race out. There's not too
Trouble
many
in the wall already. Matt Zaccardo is the first caution of the day. We didn't make it past lap 1. Zaccardo pounded the wall in turn 3. Glenn Fagan couldn't get out of the way. And unfortunately, we didn't get 1 lap in. The first caution of the night is out.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at the GSRC replay here. We're going to watch and see what happens here. Come down to turn 3 now. Here's what we're going to see in the replay. The trouble actually starts ahead of him, believe it or not. Zaccardo's the car who gets the most damage out of this. But there's a car ahead of him. Who's that blue car?
I think that might have been Latham Joyner because I saw him disconnect from the session.
I believe it's Russell Peets, actually. Let me double check. I see Russell Peets hitting the wall first, and I think Zaccardo just kind of I don't want to say overreacted. That's the wrong word, but he reacted to that. And yeah, so there's 2 cars involved in this wreck. There is a third car. It's a black car.
Oof, I think, is that one Latham Joyner? There's multiple black cars in the field. I think that may have been Latham.
Yeah, I see William Layton. Yeah.
Oh, here's Davila, second place. Did he hit the wall? Oh, my goodness. No, it was a bigger impact than we thought, or the iRacing simulation thought it was a bigger impact than it actually was. Looked like Davila got away with that, but...
And if we can, in a second, maybe get a replay as well of William Layton coming through that. He's behind Zaccardo, and he cuts it through the grass and is going to come back up and hit the wall as well. There's multiple cars involved in this wreck. What looked like a single car spin has turned into a multi-car incident.
Only 1 lap under green, so not much strategy here, but Lucas Davila is bringing it down pit road. It wasn't a complete destruction of an impact like we thought it was, but clearly there is still real damage on that number 88 car. And Davila is going to bring it down pit road to fix whatever damage that car has, however much it really has.
Yeah, what? All right, let's go and take a look here. This is William Layton. Watch this here, Joey. This looks to be start. We'll see if we can get there in a second, but yeah. So the thing that knows about the damage you mentioned is going to be what can they really fix here? As we said, there's no fast repairs, no spare cars in this race. So for some of these guys, this is going to be, if not race over, it's going to be, unfortunately, a long night hereafter because there's only so much in IndyCar you can fix.
So here we see Wilhelm Layton through the final corner. No, it's through turn 2. Is he at the wall here?
No, it's going to be out of...
It's out of 3.
Yeah. But look ahead here. You're going to see he's going to try to pull a little bit of toe from the car ahead of you.
And you see, bam, bam, 2 cars in the wall. Is there anywhere for Layton to go? There was. Oh, but he clips the grass. Oh, no.
And Peets gets a second contact there. That's Peets again, by the way, who originally hit the wall, now making contact there. So that's we thought was a simple incident has turned into a bit of a calamity in lap 1.
And I did a little bit of my own research. Latham Joyner, he didn't appear to actually be involved with any incidents on lap 1. He just seemed to have parked it out of turn 4 without completing a single lap. So I don't know what happened with Mr. Joyner, but he is out of the race. Zicardo and Leighton still in the pits, still in the race, but they're 1 lap down as Leighton actually leaves the pits. So he'll only be 1 lap down, but we will hopefully be going green here very soon. I imagine next time by.
Yeah, we'll check the lights on the pace car and see what happens. This is a great example of IndyCar racing as far as what happens, and yet lights are out. This is a great example of how fast you have to react here and how hard it is to save an IndyCar. You know, I mean, really honestly, going through the grass felt like the right move as we watched that replay. As we're going to watch Isaac Snyder pace around here. Going through the grass felt like the right move, but unfortunately, just how fast you come back up the track or how much that grass affects you, it's hard to save an IndyCar during an incident like this.
It really is, and Isaac Snyder, you can see the focus in his eyes. Even under caution, he is completely on it here. We will go racing in two more corners.
Yeah, race control actually just called off the restart. Lights in the pace car are back on. Oof. So I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, we are going to go around one more time.
But up front, the 53 and the 47, those are 2 teammates, Tim Tomez and David Graybill. You can see the similar liveries. These 2 are teammates, so will they work together here in these early stages of the race if we do get a little bit of a run going? And what can they do to work together this early on?
I mean, the best thing you can do together to work together first off is not race each other. It's as simple as that sounds. Side-by-side racing, especially at Indianapolis in these cars, that'll allow the whole field to catch up to you because you're neither one of you going to go full speed. You're not going to go as fast as you want. You're going to have to lift in the corners, and it will let the field catch you. So first key to working together is don't race each other.
Around turn 4 here, we expected the pace car to pull off, but no, there was 1 lap added, so we'll go around one more time. The tension continues to rise. It's almost like another version of the start, because we didn't get very far. The drivers didn't get a chance to really calm down, get in a run here. So do you think tensions might even be higher than they were at the initial start here, as drivers are just desperate to actually get running?
Yes and no. Yes, you're right. We're desperate to get running. You want to get out there. You want to push that pedal and make it go fast. But no, because now it's only a single file restart. Now you have more space to work on a restart. Now the tension you do face, so coming back full circle, is you have to hope the driver in front of you goes on the green flag, because it's going to be it's going to be difficult if someone doesn't go to get, because if you pass on the inside here before the start finish line, you will get a black flag from race control.
A few drivers brought it down pit road to get a little bit of extra fuel. Eric Jeffrey and Pedro Palladino doing a little bit of strategy work here early on. Every lap does count, I suppose. And this is very odd. I thought they set it to single file restarts, but are the drivers aware of that?
No, I think what's happening here, I heard from race control, because this is a delayed green, iRacing is going to have them do a double file again. That's a result of a delayed green within iRacing, I believe.
Well, you never know what can happen at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we're going to see another 2-wide start here, so consider yourselves lucky. Well, are they going single now?
No, I said I was wrong by, I said, this will be the only one of the night, and then they went and they proved me wrong.
Well, it's a good thing you were wrong. This will be pretty exciting if I do say so myself. It's almost like another start. I'm not going to repeat my spiel from lap 1 because I've already forgotten it. But Tim Tomez and David Graybill have not forgotten how to race. I can only hope the 53 and the 47 make that 100% power from Tim Tomez. He fires off. John Silva splits the 2 teammates as we go down the back straight. Graybill falls to 3rd, side by side for 5th as we go through turn 3.
At 5th through 9th right now is a 2x2.
Not side by side anymore. And Silvio
Roberto
Sanchez, and that's going to be at least 3 more cars involved, 4 more cars involved. Oh my goodness.
Wow. And that is an unfortunate product of side-by-side racing. Let's watch this here. We come down the back straight here, behind somebody in the draft. I wonder if the dirty air is going to play a factor. Oh, never mind.
He washes up into him.
Yeah, contact played a factor there. Oof. Let's take a look to see who that was.
Silvio Roberto Sanchez on the outside, and to his inside, who actually got away with it. Oh, it was Isaac Snyder. Oh no. So Isaac Snyder got away with it, seemingly. So we'll have to ride on board with him, because that was pretty heavy contact, and somehow it seems like he doesn't have any damage on that car.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He hit the wall, so I'm going to suspect there's some kind of damage, but I could be wrong. But watch here, they're going to come too wide through the corner here. This is the danger of too wide racing. Snyder's going to just, this barely is going to creep up in that corner. There's just not enough space here with this style of racing to be doing that too often.
And then in the checkup behind, you can see multiple other cars involved. I believe Zach Kerr might have taken a bit of damage. He's still rolling, but many, many other cars. If you watch Snyder and Sanchez here once more. Snyder was barely to the inside, but he gets to the inside. And then, yeah, you can see Graybill right ahead, and that's that dirty air. You can't see it, but you can most definitely feel it, and I think Isaac did.
Yeah. And let's go to watch another replay here. This is going to be from an in-car perspective. Let's watch this here. This is Zach Kerr here.
It all looks fine down the back straight, but you can see Snyder up ahead, going side by side, and this many cars close together, calamity usually does ensue when a car spins. Oh, and nowhere to go for the Colton Herta liveried car on top. Kerr through the grass, and
that's a good save.
Looks fine, yeah.
That's a good save. So let's talk about side-by-side racing for a second, Joey. As we saw what happens in this wreck here, these cars are super fast. You're going 220, plus down the straights, and you're going a decent high speed through these corners. A single oomph of a movement in your steering wheel can cause you to drift up. But what happens here is, with the way this track is grooved and what the racing line is, that guy on the outside, if he moves up any further, he'll just wreck himself. That's where the second guy has to hold his line. In side-by-side racing through the corners here. I hate side-by-side racing through the corners here. This early in the race, I would have backed out, but maybe that's the difference between me and some of these guys who win more IndyCar races than I do.
Looks like the other cars involved. Scott Rickard was involved. Lucas Davila got some damage. Jason Chilton. But one driver who didn't get involved, who I'd like to see a replay of if we can, Chris Gow. That avoidance by the driver of the number 00 car. He's in 14th place, and by some miracle, he didn't get involved in that crash. So I hope we could load that up. That was millimeter stuff, as some drivers choose to pull down to the pits here. But here is Mr. Gow. This is incredible. Flip through the replay book here. One of these days we will find Mr. Gow, load it up, and you're really going to want to see this. This is well worth the wait. Just looking down pit road right here as we search for this replay. Drivers who brought it down. Brewer brought it down pit road. Kerr, Kruska. And here it is. Here's Gow. Right on board with the GSRC car as we get up to the scene of the accident in a couple corners' time.
Come down the back straight here. You see he's going to tip that car a little bit to the inside, get out of the draft. Go ahead. Woo. Oh! Now let's get one more look at this. There's some scary moments in this. Let's watch it again here. Watch an overhead here.
Yeah, that's not even millimeters. That's like atoms between him and Calamity there.
Yeah, for me, the scariest part of that that was not actually the miss. The scariest part was he was brave enough to bring it back up on the track there off the access road. That could have been really bad. Like, it's hard to save a car like that.
I think I may have seen a little bit of damage on the GSRC logo on the side of that car, so maybe he didn't get away as unscathed as I thought. Here he comes. No, that's actually just the way the car is painted. It's actually just white down there, so he well and truly did get away with it as the iRacing pace car pulls off really quickly. We're going green again already. Tim Tomez once again leads the field to green for the third time.
And this will be our first single file start of the night. You see everything is good as far back as I can see. As back single file pretty well.
Graybill trying to get back up there with his teammate, but he's got Jason Silva to get by before he can work together with Tomez. Will he send it to the inside? No, he goes to the outside. Tomez blocks to the inside. Silva around the outside. Can he make it work? No, he can't. He washes out.
Yeah, trying to break that draft, which he was trying to do. But that's it's a little scary of a moment for only lap 5 or on lap 10. I'm sorry, lap 10. We're going to right on board here with Graybill.
And I am happy to report that after a few incidents, we've gotten through a full lap with no incidents. So hopefully this is the start of a long green flag run. Tim Tomez leads the way. John Silva, he had a fantastic restart, but unfortunately, that great pace he had, that great push down the back straight, it is all falling apart, and he's about 7/10 behind Tomez now.
Yeah, for the moment he will be. He may have decided to lift a little bit and kind of give this space. We said here that you don't want to race side by side for too long. If you're going to make a pass, you got to make the pass. So maybe he's going to set something up. But for certain, Tomez is starting to pull a little bit of a lead here.
Kerr and Brewer side by side for the last spot in the top 10. Kerr doesn't quite have the momentum to get to the inside here. Or does he? He's down there below the white line. Can't make the move on Brewer just yet.
No, he can't. He's going to try to get it a little bit closer here out of 2. Oh, just almost, maybe might only scuff the wall here.
That looked like a big oh dear, that looked like a big impact for Kerr on my screen, but it wasn't him, and it's Chris Gow. He couldn't quite avoid the wall this time, the star of a few laps ago. Looks like it may have been a single car crash. Yep, it was. Just Chris.
Let's take a look at this here. You see him riding the wall up on the outside. Just tracked it too far out of the corner. What's going to happen here?
That's interesting. He's really far back, so I can't imagine the dirty air is that bad. I guess he just misjudged it.
Yeah, that has to be what it is. You see there. Oh. Yeah. I kind of respect what he did there a little bit. He decided to keep it up against the wall and be predictable for the guys going around. But, yeah, I'm sort of surprised that car stuck up there. Usually when you hit a wall like that at Indy, usually it bounces you back off. So I'm sure that's the end of his night. That looks like some pretty heavy wheel damage. So that's probably another casualty at the start of this race.
Yeah, unfortunately, the used car lot growing with every caution, but luckily a lot of these drivers, even though they may be one lap down, they're still out on track. I believe the only driver who's well and truly gone is Latham Joyner, and the other is Evan Lambert. Every other car is still on track or getting damage fixed, so it's still a pretty stout field, still a bunch of cars left, and still 17 cars left on the lead lap, so plenty of cars to run here, and it looks like, are the leaders going to bring it down pit road this time? No, they're not, but cars are getting waved around. Silvio Roberto Sanchez is going to get one of his laps back. Fagan, Rickard, quite a few drivers getting some help, and oh my goodness, that was close to the pit attenuator.
Yeah, it was. And I'm going to come back to something you said about would they pit or would they not pit. That's always the ultimate question for a driver. I mean, for Tim Tomez, for John Silva, for Graybill, for anyone, like say in the top 5, top 10, there's nothing I could think of that would make me want to pit right now. And what I mean by that is how important track position is what I'm saying. Right, yeah, if you're at the back, that's what I'm saying. If I'm top 10, there's no way I'm coming in. If I'm, Eric Jeffrey, Jeremy Garand in the back, 16th, 17th, yeah, let's take new tires. Let's fill it up with gas in case a green flag run happens. But for the leaders, I think they're going to stay out for a while, I think.
Well, those two drivers you mentioned did, in fact, bring it down pit road. Garand, Jeffrey, looks like Davila, Palladino, Chilton, Snyder, Kruska, and Kerr appear to have brought it down pit road under that last caution. And then, yeah, some of them brought it down last caution, some of them brought it down this caution. But the top 9, none of them have brought it down pit road, except for Matt Brewer, who brought it back down pit road on lap 2 right after the initial start.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see how long because I mean, right now these guys are, well, I mean, that was a decent, well, I would say longer run than we've had so far, but no one's really done anything to really, hurt these tires or probably need to pit as of this point, I wouldn't think.
Here we see Lucas Davila on cam once more. He did not qualify where he wanted to. He was still second, but he wanted to be on pole, and unfortunately he hasn't raced the way he wanted to either. He's been involved in a couple accidents that weren't his fault. He's just fallen back to 14th here, 15th now. We'll see if he can continue to move his way through the field. Looks like, thought I saw one driver coming down pit road again. I did, but those are 2 lapped cars, Palladino and Zaccardo. Palladino's still in the lead lap, but Zaccardo is 1 lap down. He's going to come down and get some more damage fixed, it looks like.
Yeah, you might as well if you're there, because in IndyCar rules, I know the admins have waved a few drivers around, but typical IndyCar rules, there are no free passes. You have to earn laps back the hard way around here.
Lights are out on the pace car. Will go green in a matter of moments. It's still Tim Tomez out front. He's pretty happy about these cautions because it's keeping him out front. John Silva in second, David Graybill in third. If you're David Graybill here, and you want to make the pass on Jason Silva, get up closer to your teammate here, how do you think you do that on this start? Can you get a jump on Silva with Tomez still ahead, giving you that dirty air? How do you think David can get by him?
It's kind of tricky. I mean, the only way you can do it is if you're, well, the best way to do it, I should say, is if you're communicating as a team. You're going to time this start and see if you can make that jump. What that would likely mean would be Tomez waiting until almost a line to go, because Graybill cannot pass on the inside until we get to the start-finish line. Other than that, you just gotta hope you jump to start better and don't jump it too soon, basically. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest key to any restart here with a single file starts is timing it correctly, but you don't jump too big, because if you have to lift and get to the inside, you'll get past pretty quickly.
The iRacing sedan or Mustang pace car, not the sedan pace car, pulls through turn 4, and for the 4th time this race, Tim Tomez will lead us to green. He's got John Silva in tow, David Graybill behind, and still 24 cars left in this race. Here we go, green once more. Tim Tomez is on it.
Yeah, Tomez was on it, and with the weird move to the inside, part of me wants to think that was planned, but part of that was like, whoa, what's he doing? Why would you protect the inside here? I don't know.
Aquino to the inside of Graybill. Could David fall back even further? No, he's got the momentum. But Tim Tomez again, swerving down the back straight. Silva trying to take advantage of this restart. But it looks like there's going to be no changes in the top 4. Aquino's desperate, but he's going to wash up here, and he's going to have to fall in line.
Joey, is this lap 16 or 160? Did I miss a memo somewhere?
It might as well be lap 199. Tim Tomez defending the lead for his life here, and Silva is much closer than he was on that last run. It's now only about 2/10. The question now remains, how good is he in this dirty air? Can he stick with him? Right now, unfortunately, it seems like the answer is no.
The answer is no, and he's kind of now fallen back to that range now where Tomez probably is clear of really towing him around, as we're going to watch Isaac Snyder here on camera. And get a view of him and watch around his car. Look at that focus, just that calmness. Look at that big monitor, by the way. I want one of those.
Snyder trying to move his way forward here after a little bit of trouble. He had that incident with Silvio Roberto Sanchez. He had a qualifying in 9th. He's back up into 10th, so he's almost back to where he started, and hopefully there's no long-lasting damage on that car in his case. He wants to continue his charge forward. Snyder becomes the last car in the top 10 as we cross the line to end lap number 18. Kerr to the inside. He's taking a peek. but he's not able to make the move yet as Brewer seems to be extremely slow down the back straight. It's going to be a three-way fight here for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, you mentioned Brewer was a car who had pitted earlier. Oh, man. Oh, that was a little too close.
That was more than a Pruitt fade. That was a Pruitt chop and a Pruitt punch from Matt Brewer. I don't think he knew that McClelland was there to the inside.
We have another caution.
Again. And another caution is out on the speedway. Take a look at who it is this time.
Zaccardo, I believe. Matt Zaccardo.
Matt Zaccardo in the Hooters car. That's going to be his second caution of the night. Let's see what happened. Was it a single car accident? It appears it was. And he just got loose. Looked like it was Jeffrey behind him in that red.
Jeffrey's behind him.
Orange and blue car. He avoided. I don't think Jeffrey got any damage from that, but Zaccardo, that would have been a frightening moment for Jeffrey at the very least.
Yeah, watch this here. I'm super confused on what happens. He just loses the car all on his own.
I wonder, now that he's in clean air, could he have been on weight jacker settings to run in traffic that were too loose for clean air and he just couldn't hang on to it?
I was going to ask you the same thing. That's the only thing I can think of is he was already playing with the weight jacker, which isn't out of the question here for where we are in the race, but I don't know.
Caution is out for, I believe, the 5th time tonight. And here is the cause of it. Did he hit anything? I don't think. No, he didn't hit anything, so pretty good save at the very least, but he did tow back to the pits. I wonder, is that getting out of the way, or could that be that some, long-running damage caused the spin?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's already a few laps down when he spins, so I'm not sure if he was trying to get out of the way or just having a hard night. Maybe some damage that we can't see. But yeah.
Cars getting wave rounds in the back. Rickard, Crockett, couple of drivers who are a lap down or multiple laps down. Silvio Roberto Sanchez, Glenn Fagan. Couple drivers who are multiple laps down will be getting one of their multiple laps back as we approach the pit lane here. Is it still too early for anybody to bring it down pit road? It's too early for Tomez. It's too early for... Oh, it's not too early for John Silva. He's in.
Oh, it's not. Wow, that's surprising to me. I would have a little early for me. But we'll see what he does here.
John Silva probably frustrated being stuck behind Tim Tomez for those few green flag runs we had, so he's going on the defensive here, or the offensive, I should say, as he brings it down pit road. Should take 4 tires and fuel in the number 9 pit box. This will drop him down to about 15th or 16th, I think, which is not second, but it's also not the back of the pack. So whatever he's doing, you better hope he's good in traffic.
Yeah, for sure. Want to make a note during that race we're watching Isaac Snyder. I think we misidentified a car. It was Nick McClelland in that pink and black car. I think we referred to him as Matt Brewer. That was not right. It was McClelland who they were racing hard with before that caution came out.
That is correct. I must apologize to Matt Brewer. I should have remembered that because he's driving the number 26 car, which is actually Colton Herta's car number, which is the livery he's driving. So that's an easy way to remember that car, and it'll be an easy way for me to remember that car as well. So Matt Brewer, the number 26, Nick McClelland, the number 10, and right behind them is Isaac Snyder in the 13. None of them have changed positions, though. Looking through the qualifying positions of every driver, the biggest mover, actually, speaking of Matt Brewer, is Matt Brewer. He qualified 27th, and he's up to 8th.
And that's a big run. That's got to be a little bit of comfort in the car and a little bit of luck through these cautions that have happened and that have put him there. So good for him.
Pace car not going to pull in this lap. Going to go one more time around, I believe. We're 20 laps in. We're 10% of the way through the race. 180 laps left to go. When is too early to start thinking about strategy? We've talked about some of these drivers who have brought it down pit road. Are they really thinking strategy this early? Are they thinking 180 laps in advance? And if they are, what do they really accomplish by coming in here and getting that extra bit of fuel?
What you accomplish right now is you're playing the game of, is this the green flag run? If it is, John Silva is the genius right now. He's going to be able to stay out there and run longer under green than Tomez and Graybill and Garcia and the others. But the only strategy you kind of start to play with in your head is you should know where your fuel window is, and you start to math it backwards to see if you can cut a pit stop out or how you can math it out. For me, though, until we get to like lap 100, I'm just here to ride. I'm here to be calm. I'm here to make it to lap 100, and then let's talk strategy.
I'd just like to say that I wholeheartedly approve the use of the word math as a verb. That's one of my favorite things to do. Tim Tomez and David Graybill, you math them together, and it equals 100, as I mentioned, and they are together now. They don't have John Silva between them, so hopefully that teamwork we've talked about this whole time, maybe it'll actually start to come into effect, as Graybill and Tomez will be running in tow here as we restart in a few moments' time.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll wait and see what happens here. I'm excited to see how these teammates work together.
iRacing Mustang pace car pulls around turn 4. It seems like a crawl. It must seem like a crawl when you're in the cockpit. It seems like a crawl watching here, but the pace car will pull off here, and Tim Tomez is probably wondering, when are these restarts going to end? And he's going to restart once more, and he's probably going to get a pretty good restart once more as we go green once more at Indianapolis. Graybill waits behind him. We're green once more.
We are green once more and already into turn 1. A battle for third and fourth just in the back of the screen here is going to be side by side. But nope, Aquino is going to come out third here into turn number 2.
Big run for Aquino, but not able to do anything down the back straight. Here comes Graybill on Tomez. Will there be a little bit of teamwork? I think there was. I saw a lift there. Side by side, Isaac Snyder gets by Matt Brewer in the number 26. As we now know, side by side through turn 4 as Snyder takes on Regal. He has to fall back in line. Not quite side by side. Looks like it's single file through the entirety of the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, it is side by side. Thing to note, we can talk about later if we have time. The difference in that restart by Tomez, by the way, when he had a teammate behind him, how much calmer that restart was, and how he was comfortable with a teammate behind him.
Let's see, what kind of exit does Graybill get here down the back straight? It doesn't seem like he gets quite as good of an exit as Tomez, which is understandable considering he's in the dirty air, but Silva really seemed to struggle as he was running behind Tomez. We'll see, can Graybill run a little bit closer and I guess keep Tomez worrying a little bit more for a little bit longer.
We have another yellow.
And caution is out once more. That's David Grantham, one of the faster drivers, and that's a spin from the top 5. He was having a great run in the number 01. Was it just another single car spin? I think it may have been. There's nobody near him.
Yeah, what's going to happen down here in turn 3? He's going to get into the corner really hard. He's unfortunately going to get down on that those bricks or that inside track lining there. And he's going to lose the car because of it.
Yeah, that curb tends to be pretty slippery, as we'll watch it one more time. It was such a good run for Grantham. He qualified 5th. He was running 5th. And just one mistake, that's what can make it all come undone here. Again, doesn't hit anything, though. So that asphalt runoff down there, that warm-up lane, really helped Grantham and really helped Zaccardo a couple laps ago. But we have a caution on the speedway once again. 25 laps in. I'll do the math in my head. What is that? That's 1/8 of the race done. So compare that to the miles. Calculate that. How many miles are left? Something 400 something. I don't even know. But the drivers are doing math on their pit strategy here. Does Tomez bring it down pit road this time? Does he bring Graybill with him? No, of course not. Still too early.
Yeah, so I want to talk for a second when we have a time here under caution. Let's talk about that restart if we can. Did you notice how much more calm Tomez was? There wasn't the weaving of lanes. There wasn't any weird stuff going on. He just got into the gas and went. It's almost like in the last time they were trying to lose their non-teammate and get together. And maybe that's what all the weaving of the lanes was about on that start before this. Something to note here as well, if we get into the run here. Within the official iRacing series, Graybill has a little bit more experience in IndyCar than Tomez does. Graybill has 14 starts this season in the fixed IndyCar series. So we'll wait and see if that helps him with the experience of this car in this fixed set as the race goes on.
Yeah, David Graybill, personally, I've raced against him plenty of times. I know David Graybill, he is a fearsome opponent, and he's always fast, whether it's an oval or a road course. That guy knows how to drive an Indy car, but evidently so does his teammate Tim Tomez. Everybody who runs that familiar livery, they know how to drive Indy cars, and that's going to be quite fearsome for the field of 20-something drivers behind him, because when you've got two strong drivers and you know they're working together, it's going to be pretty difficult to beat both of them.
Graybill is a regular in both the fixed and the open IndyCar iRacing series, actually. Let's take a look here. In the open IndyCar series, David has 54 starts this season and has racked up 4 wins this season in the open IndyCar series. Has not have any wins in the fixed series, but apparently he loves this car.
It's hard not to love this car. I know I'm biased. I'm an IndyCar fan. I love driving this car, but especially at this place where this car was meant to be, there's few things that are more fun than driving this car. It seems to be one of the perfect race cars, and a lot of drivers on this service agree.
All right, we're going to come around here, and I suspect the lights will go off this time on the pace car.
And a couple more drivers bringing it down pit road. Looks like Silva and Palladino are down pit road. Those are 2 very similar liveries as well, so I wonder, is that another teammate dynamic? I'm trying to look at the side of the car, see some team logos, but those are identically painted cars, so maybe that is another team dynamic that'll come into play here. The 9 and the 30 of Silva and Palladino down in the latter half of the top 15, but working together, you can make your way through the field, hopefully. But up front, Tomez and Graybill, Aquino, Garcia, and Regal now are your top 5.
John Silva, by the way, after pitting last time, back in P15, and I believe he just came off pit road again. He did. So I think Silva is playing the gas mileage game.
Every lap could count. I will increase my use of real-life Indy 500 references and think back to who else but Alexander Rossi and Will Power a couple years ago. Fuel mileage always matters in these dying laps of the Indy 500, so if you can get a little bit of extra fuel in that tank, shift your pit stops a little bit with every stop, that's what can win you this race, and that was what has won drivers this race many times in the past, in both real life and on iRacing. There's been plenty of iRacing Indy 500s as well that have been decided by that ever so crucial pit strategy, but the iRacing sedan pace car is going to pull its own bit of pit strategy. Hopefully it doesn't run out of fuel with the amount of pace laps it's been doing, but it's going to pull down pit road here once more. Tomez, Graybill, Aquino, your top 3. Is it going to be another fantastic restart from Tomez? Is Graybill going to bring him forward? Yes, he is. Graybill and Tomez, and a couple drivers bringing it down pit road here as we go to green at the Indy 500. Aquino desperate to stay in tow of Graybill this time, and the caution is out again. Who was it? It looks like it might have been Wilhelm Leighton in that black car, and it was. That's another incident for Leighton. Did he cause that himself? Yes, he did. Just super loose on entry. Looks like something broke. And that's Glenn Fagan. As if Glenn Fagan wasn't having a bad enough race, he gets involved in someone else's accident once more. Nowhere for him to go. There's just no way to predict that Leighton's car is going to do that.
No, he got super loose in the corner. Watch this. Down into the grass. He actually gets a little airborne on the back end. There's no way to avoid that. You can't predict he's going to do that.
And Leighton, of course, with that Destructoed car is down in pit road. Glenn Fagan as well. Lap 29 of 200 here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. Plenty of racing to come, but we're going to send it to a break for the moment. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and hopefully you will be too for the rest of this event. Welcome back to the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. We are approximately 100 miles into the race. I don't believe we've crossed the threshold just yet, but we will soon enough. It is Tim Tomez out front, David Graybill second, Aiden Aquino, Anthony Garcia, and Ken Regal are the top five at the moment. It's been a race of caution so far. It's been a race of attrition as we've wiped out quite a few cars in single and multi-car crashes, but the race up front hasn't changed very much, and it will restart once more here in a matter of moments. Tim Tomez, David Graybill, they're probably going to be getting sick of restarting here, but they're not going to be sick of being up front. Tim Tomez, David Graybill on the gas, and we're green once more to begin lap number 32 of this 500-mile race. Another storming restart by Aquino, but he's just not able to make that move. He's not able to get to the inside of Graybill.
No, he's not, but it feels like every restart he gets a little bit more confident in getting up there, though. So we'll see what happens here. Isaac Snyder's going to make a pass. Is that Isaac Snyder? Maybe that is Isaac Snyder. Yeah, he's going to make a pass here.
Isaac Snyder has fallen a lap down. I wonder, he brought it down pit road, I think, to maybe get some damage fixed. He's actually lost a lap. He will hopefully get waved around if there is another caution, but for the moment, he is 1 lap down in 18th. 17 cars left on the lead lap. And it looks to be single file throughout most of the field. Graybill up front, getting out of line, getting a little bit of clean air to the outside of Tomez a few car lengths back, but seems to be pretty calm for the moment. Maybe we'll actually be able to settle in for a run here.
I want to talk for a bit about these teammates, and I'm really impressed with how well they're running. We've talked about Graybill's IndyCar experience in iRacing, but look how they're kind of coordinating this. Look how, for most of the corners, they're not even going in behind each other. Usually Graybill runs a little bit higher. That's not an accident. That's on purpose to make sure dirty air is not as big of a factor. They're really coordinating this and working this out.
Tim Tomez, fastest lap of the race with a 40.8 out front. He's about the only car in the race with clean air, so that's understandable. As he rounds turn number 3, he's actually extending the gap over Graybill with every lap, but you see everybody slotting in here. Here we go, side by side. That's Zach Kerr and Silva. It's only the race for 13th, but Silva, critically, is actually one of those cars who came into the pits a couple laps ago, so we'll see if that gives him any sort of advantage here as he works to get past Kerr.
So I suspect Silva's on a fuel strategy play here. He came in under this caution that we went to brake for as well. So he is hoping... Oh, we got another car on the bottom here watching him come by. No yellow yet. But that car was down by the pit road. Who is that?
That's Jason Chilton. I don't know why he didn't bring it down pit road, but eventually after... Oh, and it brought out the caution. He was flailing for too long. He's still actually out there. So we go through turn 4. He just loses it. Bangs into the inside wall, Oliver Askew style, and I feel... Could he have driven it? Maybe this was the steering too damaged. Could he have driven it down pit road there? I don't know.
The missing tire may have played a part in that, I think. Well, yeah, I don't think she will be driving, but...
Jason Chilton brings out the next caution. It is lap number 35, and I don't know what Jason Chilton was doing trying to regain control of that car there, but he has... one way or another, brought it back down pit road. He spun in turn 1 and then towed down pit road. That means 16 cars are left on the lead lap at the moment. But the drivers who are 1 lap down, they might get 1 lap back. So I wonder, as Isaac Snyder sits here under caution, would it be possible to talk to Isaac Snyder? He volunteered himself to talk to us during the race. He's sitting there in our Discord. Can we hijack the Isaac Snyder Discord channel here? As he gets waved around the pace car, or will hopefully get waved around the pace car. Isaac, well, first of all, you lost a lap. How did that happen?
I had a black flag and I needed a piece, so I just went and did that.
Oh, no. That's the good thing about iRacing. You can take a bathroom break. You can't do that in real life, but Isaac Snyder, unfortunately, goes a lap down due to human technical issues, if I can call it that, but on a far less disgusting topic. Isaac, you were having a strong race. Unfortunately, there was that incident early on, I believe, with Sanchez, but you've been coming back. How are you feeling in the car at the moment? How are you feeling in that race car?
Car feels pretty comfortable. I'm not really having an issue with it. I'll get the lucky dog this next match. Just trying to work the high line, just get around people and see what I can do in the dirty air.
So with a race that's as caution filled as this one has been so far, what are you thinking inside the car? What are you thinking strategy wise? What do these yellow laps allow you to do strategy wise, other than of course getting a chance to go to the bathroom?
Put it in 6th gear and clutch it all the way around. Save as much fuel as I can and conserve tires for a little bit.
So Isaac, I want to piggyback off that question for a second. With how many cautions we've had, you don't have to give away your whole strategy, but then maybe a yes/no here. Have you made any in-car adjustments yet to this car with how little we've run under green?
Every lap.
All right, there you go.
You're always, especially in dirty air, you're always adjusting and changing to where cars are in front of you and how many are, bunched up together. And just see what feels good and go with it.
All right, Isaac, as you're driving around alone here, you are back on the lead lap. You are in 17th place, but what are the next steps here as we will go green here in a couple of laps' time? What's the next move? Do you hang back a little bit, save a little bit of fuel, or are you going full aggressive trying to move your way forward?
Keep my head down and just kind of slither my way up back through again.
Well, please don't literally put your head down. We are watching you. We will be looking to see if your head is facing the screen. But Isaac Snyder pulls up to the back of the field here. He's back on the lead lap. He's back in the fight. And Isaac, thanks for talking to us.
No problem.
We'll hopefully not have to bring you in under caution again. Hopefully we go green the rest of the way, but we thank Isaac Snyder for being so kind to donate his time under caution here. It's good to get that kind of insight here. Derek, of course, your insights are plenty good, but it's always good to hear from an actual driver in the actual race.
Oh, for sure. They're on the track. They know what's going on. You know, the fact you hear him say, we're making changes every lap. The dirty air matters. We talked about it a little bit, and it's something that's almost hard to describe. You have to experience it yourself to know what that means, especially in an IndyCar. If you get right behind someone, you're trying to draft out into turn number one, you're in for a rude awakening when you try to get through turn one on these cars.
Speaking of strategy, John Silva has brought it down pit road again, so whatever he's doing strategy-wise, it seems like the strategy is to bring it down pit road every time he can and get that car as full as it can be and as fresh as it can be every single time a caution comes out.
Yeah, and it really does. I mean, hey, why not? Like, what do you have to lose? I mean, he made the pit call early that put him back in the teens, 15, 16-ish area, and now you just ride it out. You see what happens.
The lights appear to be out on the pace car, so we will be going green again. Lap 40 will mark the 100-mile mark, 1/5 of the way through this 500-mile race. Tim Tomez goes inside the pace car. He's cosplaying as a Mustang down there, but hopefully he'll be a little bit faster than a Mustang on acceleration once the restart comes in a few corners' time. I've said those words so many times, it's only a matter of time until we actually get a long run, right?
One can hope.
One can only hope, and I wonder, is Tomez hoping that we get a long run here as the leader, or is he hoping that we continue to run under caution here? Because either way, he's leading the race.
Hey, just a quick note. I don't have all the details on it yet. All of the details on it yet. Easy for me to say. John Silva, black flag under caution.
Did he
bring speeding?
Was it a closed pit?
It's got to be either speeding or closed pit. I think race controls. Yeah, I think it's closed pit. I think race control is gonna waive it for him, but let's take a look at that.
All right, interesting to see what happens with John Silva. But we are green on the speedway once again. Tomez and Graybill are going, and Graybill is far closer to Tomez than he's been before, but he's going to be a nice friend. Move back, but Aquino sends it deep into one. The battle for second, it's closer than it's ever been.
Already was, and Graybill, by the way, got a little bit loose in the turn one. You saw that car wiggle in the back end, and I think Aquino got excited. But Tomez and Graybill, once again, pulling away. But Aquino is still within the tow here, and it's going to be exciting down into turn number 3.
Aquino down in the dirty air of Tomez as Graybill goes for some fresh air up top. It seems like Aquino is he always runs the bottom there, and it doesn't seem to ever work out for him because he just seems to wash up and he can't stay with Graybill. So if he's trying to stick with those two, where should he really be running? Because the bottom isn't working for him. The top is where Graybill is. What can you do when you're this car?
You stay on the bottom. It's not about what is best for you right now. It's about what's safest for you. If he stays up behind Graybill on these first opening couple of laps, he'll wash up in that dirty air. So he has to stick to the bottom. But now that Tomez and Graybill are sticking apart, look at Aquino closing in here.
Sends it down to the inside. There is a car with 2 wheels driving down the back straight right now, but we won't look at that. Hopefully he pulls off the racing surface. Aquino, oh, that was close to the wall, but single file as we look back to McClelland, and that's Kruska. Kruska moving his way forward through the field. I don't think we've mentioned him much tonight. Is he going to send it to the outside of McClelland here? He's going to try it. He's got the momentum, but he's not able to make the move yet.
McClelland moves up just a little bit. They're going to be, again, tight through the corner here. No, it's going to be the same order, McClelland and then Kruska.
Turn 3, McClellan down to the bottom. Kruska gonna stay in line here, move down into line rather, as they get by a lapped car. I did not see who that was, but that's gonna be another lap down for one of them. And here comes Kruska. Here's the run.
He's gonna complete it just at the start-finish line. He's gonna pull up now and gonna throw that dirty air backwards.
Can McClellan be better on offense than he was on defense? Can he fight back, or is Kruska? Actually, as I look at the tire times here, Kruska's been on those tires only for 21 laps. Everyone else who hasn't pitted, it's been 42 laps. So I wonder, are we starting to see the advantage of some of these drivers who have brought it down pit road? Is Kruska the leader here of those drivers who are going to be moving their way forward?
He very well could be, and there's two advantages you get right now if you're Kruska. You get the actual tire advantage, which there is some wear on these tires, although you might not think there's a whole lot because of the cautions. But the second one is a confidence advantage you have right now, because you know you're on better tires, and you're more willing to make a move because you have that confidence of new tires. Sometimes the mental health, the mental side of this is more important than what the car can actually do. But look at him pull away here, and look at the race behind him here.
Brewer and Grantham here, the battle for 8th. Brewer trying to move his way forward on 10-lap fresher materials than Grantham as we run down the front straight here. The number 26, it's a good run, but I don't think he's going to be close enough into one, but he is setting up this move, and he's looking for the clean air.
He is looking for that clean air, and I suspect he'll try to make a bigger move down the back straight here. Yeah, if this run stays green, which I hope it does, then we will see drivers like Brewer and Kruska who have pitted already taken tires. Silva as well, frankly, will move up fast through the field within probably 20 laps or so because of that tire advantage.
And we do have to start thinking about pit stops for some of these drivers who haven't pitted. Oh, Tim Tomez, speaking of that, speak of the devil, Tim Tomez has brought it down pit road for a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, lap 44. I was trying to do some mental math as this happened here. Let's watch him. He's going to come down pit road here. It's going to be the very front pit stall. As he qualified first in this race, he'll bring it to a stop here. We're going to put some new tires on it and gas. So this is a very interesting. I was trying to do the mental math with number of cautions. How long could this gas tank run? Now, Graybill's still out, though, so we're going to wait and see how this plays out. Graybill's going to go around again, so I'm not sure what the difference is there or if Tomez wanted to pit early.
Graybill gets by the lapped car of Glenn Fagan. He's not going to have any help in terms of fuel saving with him, as now Aquino comes to the back of Fagan. Fagan was very nice to Graybill getting out of the way down the front straight. He'll probably do the same to Aquino, but Aquino's trying to get every bit of slipstream from that lapped car. Now the question is, when does Graybill bring it down pit road? Rounds turn 3, going around turn 4. Will he be able to do an overcut of his teammate? Does he bring it down pit road this time through turn 4? Nope, he's going to continue on.
I mean, it's worth talking about. Tomez obviously has burned more fuel than the drivers behind him because he has no tow, no draft assistance. I'm going to keep an eye on this later. I think that's still a little early, though. I thought you could go 35 to 40 laps on a tank. I might check my numbers. I think that's a little early for Tomez. Maybe he's just trying a different strategy.
Regal is in as well, so in terms of these drivers who haven't pitted in the front. Oh, and he misses his pit box entirely. That's going to be a couple seconds lost, and he's still losing time. He still isn't even back in his stall. Oh, what a disaster for Regal. Here we go. Here comes Graybill. Here comes Aquino.
All right, well, there we go. So that's going to solve that. That's probably the difference in fuel saving you're seeing right there. So there you go. That's going to put Kruska up to the lead, by the way, as we cycle around.
Kruska takes the lead. It's going to be Brewer in second, but Brewer 6 seconds back. He's got a lot of ground to make up. Kruska takes the lead. He last pitted 27 laps ago, so he will have to pit again soon as well. The strategies, there's about 5 of them seemingly throughout the field. Kruska pitted 27 laps ago, Brewer 12 laps ago, Snyder 20 laps ago, and then you go back to 10th, David Graybill, first driver who's pitted 0 to 3 laps ago.
Yeah, John Silva, by the way, shot out up into P5. We talked about his pit strategy for a while.
You're lucky to get that black flag cleared. I believe he pitted under a closed pits, which you can't do, but the rules here state that you can, and he stays in 4th. The driver we talked to, Isaac Snyder, up to 3rd. And Graybill has actually jumped Tomez in the pits, it seems like. Graybill, Tomez, Aquino, they were the top 3. Now they're 10th, 11th, and 12th. And Garcia as well, who is 4th. He's still in 4th. So the drivers who pitted at similar times, they're mostly in the same order, but Graybill has truly jumped Tomez.
He has jumped Tomez. Let's take a look here. Let me pull up our stat for pit road. If you give me a second, I want to look and see their pit times. See, Graybill spent 9.3 seconds in the box, and Tomez spent 9.2 on the box. So they had almost identical pit stop times. So I'm not sure how Graybill got around, but he definitely has.
Maybe just that overcut. He had clean air for longer. Whatever it was, it did work. And the caution is out once again. We had the longest run yet. I'm trying to see who is it. It's a black car. And unfortunately, for the 3rd time, I don't know how he got that car back out there, but it's Leighton. And it looks like Fagan was involved as well. Oh, and Brewer took a massive hit. But it appears the car's okay somehow. You see Brewer come through. You saw him come through, and I thought he hit Leighton, but somehow it seems like that car is fine.
He does. He barely clips Leighton out of the corner.
Well, that's not Fagan's fault at all. Leighton was going about 12 miles per hour through the corner. And Brewer has to navigate through Fagan again. Let's watch it again from Brewer's perspective here. You can see Leighton. That car's been fixed in the pits multiple times and just clogs up the track in front of Fagan, bounces off the wall. Oh, and that's another netcode thing. You either hit him or you didn't, and apparently he didn't actually hit him, even though the simulation transfer appears like he did. That's what can happen when you're transferring data over thousands of miles. It's a worldwide race, and the data's got to go pretty far, and sometimes it doesn't look like it actually is.
Something you said that was very valid, though, actually. William Leighton was going 196 down the back straight. And I'm showing that Fagan was going 213 down the back straight. So you're right. There was a definite speed difference there. And Fagan just closed up way faster than he thought he was going to, going into that corner. That's what happened there. And that's what causes the contact. We got cars on pit road, by the way. Bunch of cars down pit road.
Leighton, you can respect the decision to try and run as many laps as possible, but at some point you got to get yourself out of the way. Brewer takes the lead, actually. Luckily, Snyder's behind him, and lots of cars on pit road. Crockett, Jeffrey, and a couple others on pit road, including Kruska, our leader. He was the leader. Now he is down to 8th. It's not as big of a fall as it could have been, and it's actually a jump, I think, overall. Once Brewer, Snyder, and Silva come in, he'll be in the top 5 pretty legitimately and on a similar strategy to those others.
Yeah, you never want to say there's a benefactor or a beneficiary of a caution, but really though, Tomez and Graybill, this is going to put them back near cycle for pit stops. So they really kind of got the lucky end of the stick here, as far as they're going to be almost back on the same cycle as everyone who just pitted. We could have had a really interesting cycle of pit stops had that gone green for a long time.
Looks like we've got Ken Regal as well. We talked to Isaac Snyder last time. Let's talk to another one of our drivers, Ken Regal, currently running 1 lap down. I am not sure if he'll get the wave around here. I bet he's hoping he is, but Ken, welcome to the booth. How's your race gone so far? I bet you wish you weren't a lap down, but other than that, how have you been doing? Ken, do you have a copy?
I'm going to lose my mind.
Looks like maybe a little bit of technical difficulties with the radio on Ken Regal's car, but Matt Brewer leads the way over Isaac Snyder. Maybe we'll talk to Isaac Snyder a little bit later. I think, is that Zaccardo? Zaccardo? No, Zaccardo's not in the race. It's the other orange and black car bringing it down pit road, and the lights are out on the pace car, and we'll go green once more. Brewer, Snyder, and Silva stayed out here. They're going to lead us on the restart.
You know, in a way, though, that was actually kind of a beautiful look into the mind of a race car driver right now. You're 1 lap down. We're 52 laps in. You're having a hard night. You don't feel like you get any breaks. I'm going to lose my mind right now. That's a pretty accurate statement we've all felt before as racers. Like that's a you know, he wasn't answering your question, but that's a pretty accurate look into his mindset right now.
Brewer lucky to be still rolling after that accident. We saw on our screens that car was destroyed, but it's still rolling well. Snyder up to second, Silva third. Graybill and Tomez, they've been leading in clean air for the majority of this race. How do you think their approach will change here as they restart a couple cars back? They've been back there, but they're restarting much closer to the top 3 this time. So how's that going to differ as they go on offense for the first time?
It's a good question. I think you're going to see some teamwork here as far as sticking together and using those, breaking the draft and doing what they can. There's also going to be some questions here about, I mean, we saw, you know, some people involved in incidents earlier, Snyder, Brewer up front. You know, you might want to be patient as well and see how those cars race before you get super aggressive in your moves.
All right, the iRacing Mustang pace car, I'll get that right one of these days. It pulls off once more, and I believe for the first time in this entire race, the restart will not be led by Tim Tomez. It'll be led by the number 26 car, Matt Brewer. He leads the way, and we are green once more at Indianapolis. We're over a quarter of the way through, and Brewer is the leader. Side by side into one, Garcia and Aquino, and Graybill and Tomez. You can throw a blanket over the cars in third and fourth and fifth there. Oh, they're still stuck side by side as we go down the back straight.
You know, and this kills that teamwork plan, by the way. Having Garcia and Aquino on the outside, that has broken up those teammates and will make it a completely different strategy than what they thought they were going to have.
Looks like Tomez is clear of Garcia. Aquino falls in line as well. No, he doesn't. He's to the inside of Garcia. He washes up just a little bit. Oh my goodness, that was very, very close. But no contact made. Everybody's still running as Graybill now on the attack. He's to the back of Silva. Can he make the move? He's up there in the clean air. He's got the run. Graybill seems like the strongest car on the track right now.
Yeah, he definitely does seem like the strongest car on the track. He's going to get up here behind John Silva. Silva's going to try to pull down and break the draft. And he's now kind of moving back and forth. But Graybill to the inside.
Got a nose in, but it's not quite enough. Silva hangs on. Silva a little bit indecisive down the back straight, and Graybill lifts out of the throttle. And Tomez gets to the inside of Graybill. They're side by side coming up to the yard of bricks. Are they going to work this out? Yes, they are. Tomez backs out of it. He's going to stay in line.
I was going to say, they need to work that out fast. If they'd have went through 1 or 1 and 2 like that, that would have been not good news for their teamwork.
Looks like a little bit of contact for Aquino potentially through 1 and 2. No, I think he just avoided it. I don't think he hit the wall, but there was certainly very little air between him and the wall, and that would have been pretty frightening in the cockpit. Let's take a look here. That's the sound of the air there between the car and the wall. Aquino a close call, but still rolling. All 4 tires on that car. He's going to continue to move his way forward and hopefully not wash up the track as much anymore. But up front, Matt Brewer has a comfortable 8/10 lead. I must comment on this. I don't know how I haven't mentioned this already. Brewer started last, and he's in the lead. This is truly a last-to-first challenge, which has never happened in real life as far as I know, but could Brewer do it here virtually as he gets to the back of Glenn Fagan, the lapped car? He was very nice to the last leader, David Graybill. He's going to give a little bit of the draft to Brewer, and he is going to get out of the way. That car is quite damaged, not going to be very quick in a straight line. But Brewer takes the lead. Well, he was the leader, but he takes the lead of the pack from Fagan.
And what's going to happen with this lap car is interesting. Sometimes a lap car...
Matt Crockett bringing it down pit road, or he's down the warm-up lane. Doesn't look like there's much damage on that car. I don't know what happened. Could he be out of fuel? That's strange. I'll take a look back at what happened to Crockett.
Well, let's take a look and see what happened here. I was going to say, I see some smoke over here in this short shoot of 3 and 4. I don't think it's a fuel issue. I think he lost it somewhere.
Yeah, he lost it in 3. He clipped the curb, went for a spin. Oh, and he backed it into the wall. That's what killed the car.
I was going to say, though, we're curious to see what's going to happen here with Snyder, Silva, Graybill, Thomas, and others. When you're a lap car, sometimes you have a lot of incentive to move out of the way for the leader because they're the leader, and you respect the leader. But sometimes you don't feel that for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when they come around to him.
Graybill seemed to be super aggressive on the restart, but unfortunately, running 4th in line, he just doesn't seem to be able to get up to the back of Silva and the top 3. He's running about a full second behind Silva. I wonder, is he saving up here? What's David Graybill doing as we cross the line? Lap number 60 is going to be completed here, and Graybill doesn't seem to be moving his way forward as much as he probably would have hoped.
Oh, I'm curious to see what's going on here because I noticed when we watched that replay a moment ago of Akina, you notice how much those hands were moving in that corner. I think these cars are kind of tight right now. I think these guys are kind of frustrated about how much this car is tightening up because he was arm wrestling that car through the corner. I don't think this is a smooth ride for these guys. I think everyone's just trying to be comfortable right now and make sure they don't make a mistake.
See if we can take a look at the track temps here. 126 degrees Fahrenheit. The track is practically boiling. It's no wonder they're tight. That is ridiculous temperatures for some of these drivers, and that's not easy conditions to drive this car in.
No, it's not. It's a pretty hot track here at Indy. But I mean, Indy, I feel like it's typically a warm track during the 500s. So let's take a look at a replay here and see what's going on here.
Pedro Palladino through turn 1. Oh, and that was the wall. That was the wall.
So if we can back that replay up a second, though, I want to show off here, if we can get it in a moment. Watch how much he has his wheel turned to the left out of that corner. These are not loose race cars. Watch this here. Feels normal. Look how much more he's got to crank it there to try to get it off the wall. These are definitely tight race cars and not loose race cars right now.
And tight race cars do not make good following race cars, evidently, as the gaps expand between every single car in the top 10 here. 1 second between Brewer and Snyder, another second between him and Silva, another full second back to Graybill. Just a lot of drivers seem to be running their own races here, and the caution is out once again on the speedway. Who has brought it out this time? I'm looking around. I don't see anybody on track. Oh, there they are. On the front straightaway, massive accident. Is that... Oh my goodness. I think that was that Garcia? Was that one of our...
Aquino. That's Aquino. Runs him over.
And that's Matt Crockett, who already came through the pits. He had rear end damage from backing it into the wall after spinning. And it's another... Oh, man.
This is another case of closing speed. There's about a 30-mile-an-hour difference between them.
It's just somewhat dangerous, and I don't even know how much blame can you put on Aquino in that situation. Did he know how slow Crockett was going? Could he have backed it up a little bit, or is that just a complete surprise when something like that happens?
Oh, that's hard to say, because I mean, there's what I call in-car and out-of-car experiences. An in-car experience, you would think that you never saw it coming. But if we watch an out-of-car, like from a chopper view, blimp view, you're like, how did he not see it? But between your tools you have within iRacing, between the relative tool and between possibly a live spotter, I was looking to see if Aquino has one. He does not, I don't think. See, no one in this race has a live spotter. You might have been able to figure it out, but I put that more on the slower car. Like if you're that slow and you're going through the corners, why are you out there up in the high lanes? Get down on bottom part of the track and out of the racing groove.
So Zach Kerr will get one of his 3 laps back. So we saw him waved around the pace car. Ken Regal will hopefully be losing his mind in excitement as he's going to get the wave around as well. And here comes the field down pit road. Brewer's going to bring it down, but Snyder and Silva aren't. No,
Snyder's in.
Yeah, Snyder's in, but Silva is also in. Oh my goodness, I think I completely bungled that. There's so many cars with the same color. Yeah, Leighton stays out. Palladino stays out. David Graybill now takes the lead.
Yeah, so there you go. That could be, this is just another small difference in the shifting of pit strategy. I think Snyder missed his pit stall. Let's take a look here.
You remember we saw, I think it was Regal who missed his pit stall last time. So Snyder not quite as bad as Regal did. 9.9 seconds in the pits.
Yeah, but he was ahead by about a quarter of a pit stall. He had to back it up, so that'll cost him a couple spots on track here. Man, it's always frustrating as a driver when you do that. It's just you think you have it lined up and you just overshoot it. Well, while we're under caution, I want to talk a little bit about tightness and looseness in case someone's new to the broadcast. So we kind of saw it in that replay from a few moments ago. But if you're tight, basically you could pull all the way left and the car's like, nah, I'm going to go straight. It just doesn't want to turn. Loose is the opposite end. Loose means that I'm going to turn it minorly left and I'm going to do a donut. So you asked earlier about, or you said earlier, tight race cars don't make good following cars. And that's probably so accurate because following by itself tightens your car up because now all that aero is messing with the car and makes you tight. So you add a tight race car plus dirty air makes your car tight. That has to be almost impossible to do right now. I don't know how you account for that except for the weight jacker adjustments.
We manage our way down the front straight. Sorry, I was checking some of the data there. David Graybill peeking out just a little bit. They're not going to start behind this car of Palladino. I think he will get waved around, but we have more than 1 lap to go under these pace laps. And there goes Palladino. He's around the pace car. So Graybill has clean track in front of him. He'll be the 3rd new leader on a restart as far as I know. Tomez in tow. And then it's Garcia in 3rd, McClelland and Silva will be your top 5 on the restart here. It's another instance of that team dynamic we've talked about so much, but this time it's the other way around. Graybill has found his way to the front, and will Tomez just play the same role as Graybill did before? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will wait and see what happens here. Someone called out, I thought in the beginning of the race this wouldn't matter. I think we're getting close to some incident limit penalties or some DQs from this race. Something to keep an eye on maybe in the next, 130 some laps. But we're only 66 laps in, and I think there's got to be some guys who are close to maybe being invited to watch the rest of the race, outside of iRacing.
Yeah, Wilhelm Leighton on your screen here has unfortunately been the cause of 2 or 3 cautions here, so hopefully he can keep the car under him for the rest of this event and will not accumulate those 19 incident points to get that DQ. He's 15 laps down, so he truly is just out there to pick up the pieces, but hopefully for him, he can pick up a couple more of those pieces. I believe he'll actually have 1 position ahead of him. Kruska has appeared to have retired, and he'll be serving an admin position for the rest of the night. So that's 1 position for Leighton. But up front, Graybill and Tomez, those 2 familiar cars, will round turn 4 here. Lights are out on the pace car. It'll pull down pit road. And for who's counting amount of times, David Graybill will now lead us to green, and Tim Tomez will be in tow here at Indianapolis, and we're away. This is the highest McClelland has been all race, so I wonder if he can make his way forward here. Seems like there's a little bit of a bubble between Garcia, McClelland, and Silva. He's a little bit on his own here. Tomez drafts up to the back of Graybill, sticks behind him, doesn't go for the move. A little bit of teamwork up front, as we've seen for so much of this race.
Yeah, a lot of teamwork going on there, and very good teamwork by those guys. I want to add that in there. You can see that the experience of Graybill for the iRacing IndyCar official races is paying off. There's some mostly single file racing going on behind. In fact, we see all the way through the 7th. It's all single file as of this point.
Oh, Aquino again, almost into the wall. I don't know if that was almost. I think that might have actually been in the wall as he washed up in front of Sanchez. He avoided it again. Oh my goodness, Aiden Aquino is playing with fire back there in 8th place, but there's still no damage on that car somehow.
Oh yeah, I just saw it myself. Ooh, you're right. That was close. As we watched him avoid that wall.
Brewer and Silva seem to be the two closest cars on track right now. This is the battle for the top 5. Matt Brewer having such an incredible recovery drive after being so fast in practice, not able to qualify, going for that last to first challenge. He is up to 6th. He's up 21 spots, but Silva proving to be a tough match here. Brewer's closing, but he's not able to make the move. He's not able to get to the back of him just yet.
He's looking at it, though. He's make sure he's staying within the draft here. And he's going to make sure he has to lift a little bit there due to that dirty air, but he'll be back in it.
Zach Kerr 2 laps down, close to Isaac Snyder. Snyder's going to attempt to go to the outside into turn 1 a little bit further back here. Snyder almost in the wall. That's how high he sent it to the outside of 1. But he takes care of the lapped Kerr. And he is in 7th here as he sets his sights to a car who's actually on his lap. Matt Brewer is right ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I want to say just a big shout out to Snyder. He's done really well tonight. He's pulled himself in the back of the field a couple times. Staying calm, staying patient, making good passes, and calculating those risks at the appropriate time.
Lap 70 of 100 is complete at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. David Graybill leads over Tomez and Garcia. Mostly single file. Here comes Eric Jeffrey a little bit further back. He's working on Silvio Roberto Sanchez, who is a lap down. He seems to be falling through the order. That seems to be the closest 2 cars on the track as Sanchez falls his way through the order. Other than that, it's very similar to that previous run, just single file running. Maybe a little bit of fuel saving as the drivers up front, they've already run 25 laps since they last stopped.
Yeah, so we're going to start to see what they're going to happen here, what they're going to do, how they're going to plan it out. Joey, you said you run a lot of IndyCar within the iRacing service. So if you're Anthony Garcia right now, obviously your first goal is to get up to Tomez. But what do you do about those teammates? What would you want to do if you were in Garcia's seat right now? Or are you comfortable fuel saving and see if you can get around him that way?
Well, the problem with this car, how fun it is to race, if you're not those first 2 cars, you are in a world of hurt in terms of dirty air. So that third car, who is Garcia now, he's driving the worst right now, but he could also be saving the most fuel if he is driving safely here. If he's deliberately trying to save fuel, he's going to be in a good position. And then his best hope is probably going to be jumping them 2, because if you're splitting them 2, once it's the last couple laps, it's going to be every man for himself, every driver for himself, and then that's kind of your opportunity to split them, but you really want to be ahead of both of them. You don't really want to be the meat in that sandwich.
Oh, we got another yellow.
And the caution is out again. That's a massive accident in the exit of 3. I think that's Eric Jeffrey. No, it's not. It's the other similarly colored car. Scott Rickard is involved. And I believe one of the red cars, Aiden Aquino, has finally come to blows with the wall. Oh, he came to blows with the curb, rather, and there's no saving that. See a little bit earlier, did he brush the wall? He's become so close to that turn 1 wall every single time. And did he finally hit it? Did he finally fly too close to the sun? Through turn 1. Oh, he hit the curb 1 time, hit the wall, and then hits the curb another time.
Rickard's just going to be an unfortunate victim here of just nowhere to go. Watch here if you're going to see Rickard here. And you can kind of see he's getting a little squirty. Maybe you think maybe I should back up a little bit, but like he saved it. He's all right.
Oh, he's not all right.
No, not even a little bit. And I mean, just that fast. That's the risk of the Indy cars versus other cars in the service. There's no time to think about that. You know, maybe in a stock car or other vehicles, you have time to kind of process and make a move. There was nowhere Rickard could go there.
Glenn Fagan moving his way around the pace car. A couple of drivers will get their spots on the lead lap back. Silvio Roberto Sanchez, Palladino, and a couple others will return to the lead lap and return to the fight. At the moment, we've got 10 cars on the lead lap, and all of them basically are bringing it down pit road, the front four.
Yep. So Graybill, Tomaz, I think that is Silva stayed out, so he'll now take the lead.
Garcia too, and McClellan. So basically the whole top four.
These guys are determined to keep I mean, with how hard it is to pass here, I'm not surprised you're seeing guys take these risks to want to take the lead any way they can.
And as the number of cars on the lead lap whittles down, it's now only 10 at the moment. The lead is important, as I said. Being in second is important. You don't want to be third and back because it's going to be almost impossible to pass. But when there's so little cars in the top 10 here, or so little cars in the lead lap, I wonder if, with every caution that passes, we'll continue to see basically every driver bring it down pit road because they have nothing to lose and they're going to stay where they are no matter what.
Right. If the worst you can line up is 10th, then what are you risking, you know?
Clearly, Silva thought it was too much of a risk, though. Brewer thought it was too much of a risk, and Isaac Snyder as well. But they can go much further on these tanks of fuel. As we crossed the line last time for lap number 75. We're inching closer to the halfway point. We're not quite there yet, but we will hopefully be there soon if we can get a green flag run going. David Graybill is now fourth. Tomez Garcia McClelland, top 7. No positions actually changed on pit road. So Graybill, I'm just kidding. I looked at that wrong. Garcia actually jumped Tomez. The data lied to me. The teammates have been split. It's happened.
Yeah, it has happened. So now let's watch and see. Remember the last time this happened, the teammates made some moves on a restart to kind of break the draft and try to get back together. So wait and see if that's going to happen again.
See if the lights will be out on the pace car here. We can only hope that they are. Approaching the historic yard of bricks at a slower speed than we hoped. Lights are out of the pace car. We'll go green next time.
So the start is 77. We will go green again. John Silva will lead the field around this time with Matt Brewer in second, Snyder in third, Graybill, Garcia, and Tomez rounding out your top 6.
This is about the point in the race where we try and think of anecdotes about any of the drivers, but we seem to have exhausted a couple of them. Graybill, Tomez, we know their teammates. We know they're fixed regulars. Isaac Snyder, we've talked to him. We always see him on GSRC. He's very fast in a diverse group of cars. He's in Camel GT. He's always in the majors races. Of course, he runs a lot of IndyCar stuff, but that kind of diversity and performance, it's what Isaac Snyder's really good at, and it seems to help you in every single kind of car that you try to run.
Yeah, let's talk about your leader for a second, John Silva. He is an iRacing IndyCar fixed racing veteran. He has 49 starts this season and 11 wins. He has an average start of P5 and an average finish of P7. So he definitely knows his way around the IndyCar. That's why he feels so comfortable up at the front of this field.
He'll hope to be very comfortable up front as he attempts to expand that gap here. The iRacing Mustang pace car pulls off once more down the Indianapolis pit lane. John Silva leads the way. Matt Brewer behind When will he choose to go? He gets a huge run, a huge jump rather, on Matt Brewer. And we are green once more at Indianapolis. Brewer trying to find the draft. He's going to have to stay in line here, but can he catch him into turn 3?
We'll take a look here what's going to happen. The thing I want to note here, those teammates really have been broken apart for now. Tomez had a not great start, and there's a big gap between Graybill and Tomez for the first time in this race. You can see him there in the back of your screen.
They've truly been split. Graybill trying to get by Snyder here. He's on newer tires. He's got more fuel in the car. Through turn 3, he loves that high line, but Snyder seems to know that as he actually drives up into that high line to cut off Graybill's run. And Graybill can't get to the back of Snyder here. Tomez and Garcia. Tomez running a similar line to Graybill. He loves that high line. He loves getting up there in the clean air. That's where you really want to be, and he's got to run now. He's really got to run on Garcia, but can he go to the inside, to the outside? Garcia forces him to the inside. Don't wash up here, and he's completely clear into turn 3. Tomez up to 5th. Question is, can Garcia fight back? He's fallen back quite a bit through 4. He just doesn't seem to be able to stick with the car ahead, and yeah, Tomez completely clear. It's almost a second gap already.
Yeah, it's Tomez obviously faster here than Garcia, and is trying to get linked back up with Graybill and see what they can accomplish here for these last 121 laps in this race.
Silvio Roberto Sanchez is the last car on the lead lap, but here we see a battle. Eric Jeffrey and Ken Regal, closest 2 cars on track. These 2 drivers, they've been in the wars a little bit, but they are both on the lead lap still. They're both running for top 10s, and that seems to be the benefit of survival here. If you can keep your car mostly undamaged, or at least keep it on the lead lap, it seems like you'll be able to get a top 10 here.
Yeah, that would survival is usually the name of the game. In an Indy 500, whether it be here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Series, or whether it be the official Indy 500 to start in 2 weeks, survival is the name of the game here. It's a long race. You got to get comfortable. You need to, be ready for this. It's a long day or a long evening for these drivers.
Through 4, looks like Jeffrey's actually closing in on McClellan. That was super close to the turn 4 wall for McClellan. He knows Jeffrey's coming. It's a huge run down the front straight. If Jeffrey can time this right, can he go for the move in 3 down the back straight? Let's see. He washes up, and he loses almost all the ground he made up already.
Wow, that was a good save, but it's an unfortunate loss of time for Jeffrey.
Bad news for fans of Silvio Roberto Sanchez. He was back on the lead lap, and he has just brought it back down pit road again under green, and he was in his pit stall for 43 seconds. So I wonder if he got a penalty. That seems like it would be a stop-and-go penalty to me. I wonder, did he pass on the inside on one of the restarts?
I would think it was speeding on pit lane. It could be either or. But have to look and see. Listing for that. I want to talk for a second though while we're under green and talk to you a little bit, Joey, about, within the iRacing service, we talk about endurance racing, and people think of the 24 hours of Daytona, or the 12 hours of Sebring, or 24 of Spa. But really, this is an endurance race, and it's a much different endurance race because a lot of times, as a driver, you're out here alone. There's no crew chief to help you. There's no teammates who are waiting to get in the car. This is a grueling event. How do you prep for one of these, Joey?
Well, I actually have never done a full Indianapolis 500 on iRacing. I will be doing that this year, I think, and now that I've said it on a broadcast, I'm going to have to do it. But it's a very long race, and I know everybody that has done it, there's that sense of elation at the end. Sometimes when you see drivers celebrating on TV, you think, it'll be that happy, but after you've run something this grueling, you really feel that it really is that much of an accomplishment, and those celebrations are all completely real. So it's a grueling event. It's not necessarily an endurance race by the official term, but it's a race of endurance, and all of these drivers will have to endure quite a bit tonight. Judging by the fact that we've already run an hour and a half and we're not even halfway through the race, these drivers are in for a long night, and that is the very definition of endurance.
You know, in my opinion, when you do these events, you got to think ahead, whether it's an Indy 500, a Daytona 500, you know, a 24 hours Daytona. You got to think ahead. You got to make sure that you have the appropriate snacks with you, but of course, due to the obvious reason, not too many snacks, as I think Isaac Snyder already found out. You got to really prep your headspace, though, for knowing you're going to be here for a while. You need to get comfortable in the chair. You know, you need to kind of prep yourself. It's going to be a long night. This isn't a 50-lap race. You can sit back for 100 laps. You can do different strategies. You can try different things. And you just want to be here a couple hours later and make sure you still have a car that's running in this event.
Oh, Wilhelm Leighton just spun in front of the leader, John Silva, but he disconnected in time. I believe he hit the 19x limit, and he is gone. He's out of here. He's been ejected by the automatic robotic umpire. Wilhelm Leighton, oh my goodness, that must have been terrifying for a race leader. He just gets loose on the entry of 3 again, and he gets DQ'd just in time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you know, our producer, Joe Peak, was also saying that for him to prep for the endurance racing in the long race, it's about running laps and running lots of laps and not running them all alone, but making sure that you also run laps around people and know how they're going to react and how they're going to behave. That will help you prepare for these kind of events as well.
John Silva is probably going to be extremely flushed. It's going to be like he's seen a ghost, because he quite literally did see a ghost. His life flashed before his eyes as a car disappeared from his path. But luckily, Silva still rolling in a straight line, and it doesn't seem to have actually spooked him too much, because he hasn't lost much time to Brewer, who's hoping to chase him down here. Hopefully that's the last of the theatrics for a little bit of time here. Silva, Brewer, 1.2 seconds apart.
Yeah, and you know, the good news for Silva about that incident is he already had a lead, so now he gets to have a moment to breathe and go, okay, that happens, we're good. And just kind of let it go. Don't think about it. It happened. You can't control it. A lot of times your most successful drivers in iRacing or in real life are the guys who can only focus on what you can control. You can't control certain things. If he's going to lose the car and spin it, the best you can do is avoid it, hopefully. But you can't control that. Let it go, breathe, and move on.
Just taking another check-in on that Jeffrey McClelland battle. Jeffrey actually got to the inside of McClelland back when we were talking a little bit about the endurance of this race. He almost had the move made. He was there, but he couldn't do it. And now he's basically fallen back to where he was before, almost half a second, a full second behind now of McClelland. It seems like he had his chance and he wasn't able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, you know, that's a frustrating thing when you're there and you just can't find your way around. You can actually eat up a lot of tires and a lot of patience in those moments if you're not careful. Now here we're going to look at the teammates again. We're going to look at Graybill and Tomez, and we're going to watch them come around here. And these guys have successfully lined themselves back up to 4th and 5th place. They're about a second apart and about 3 seconds off of Matt Brewer as of this moment.
Tomez seems to be a little bit faster of the two. He's been consistently faster, consistently closing down that gap over the last few laps. I wonder, it seems like it might be a little bit too hot for them to work together and try and draft their way forward, slingshot each other forward. But you know, when you're 4th and 5th, when the only way you're probably going to be able to win the race is if another caution comes out, or if you can jump everybody in terms of pit strategy, could it be worth a try to do a little bit of that slingshot work? It might be too early, but you know.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's a little too early to make a move like that and a risk like that, where, you know, if it doesn't pay off and you fail your slingshot, you'll have parachutes behind you, basically. So it's not out of the question, but I think we want to be Probably the last 50 laps of the race before you start thinking of that idea, I think.
Side by side, Jeffrey and Sanchez, who's actually back out on track after that penalty. Sanchez gets around him, and it looks like we've got a car on pit road. Zach Kerr is on pit road. I don't know if this is a scheduled stop, but stop one way or another.
It is a stop. We're only on lap 91, so we've been green, I think, for about 11, 12 laps here. So I don't think it's scheduled. It could just be trying something different. Feels like a long stop as well. So we're looking at, that's, ooh. Yeah,
normal stops have been 8 to 9. Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, that's, we're well beyond NASCAR stops at this point. You're getting close to IMSA stops if you're not careful.
I wondered, could Kurt... No, there's no way Kurt got a penalty, or maybe he did. Maybe he hit the incident limit somehow for that stop and go. There's
no black flag on Zach Kerr, so I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe it's a, what did you call it earlier? A human conditioning break?
a human technological failure, maybe.
Human technological failure.
Maybe that's what's going on here. But Zach Kerr is back out on track. About 50 seconds in the pits. I have no idea what that could have been, and I hope it's not what Isaac Snyder did, but if it is, good for you, Zach Kerr. Back out on track in lucky 13th behind Sanchez. And is he going to get a unsafe pit exit for that? He drove up onto the track, and I don't think you can do that.
Let's take a look here. No, it's in the short chute. That's pretty far out, but typically as long as you get it back on the access road, you should be okay. I'm going to admit to you, that was pretty far tracked out, though. Like, that's more than that. But, yeah, you can do that in the iRacing service, but you have to be back on the access road. But that was pretty far out there.
Yeah, he was literally on the racing surface, but that's always the game you play with these pit exit rules. You never quite know where the limit is, but clearly Zach Kerr does, because... Oh, man, he clearly doesn't know where the limit is because he just went way over the limit, and Jeffrey's involved as well. Oh, dear, that's going to be the caution on lap number 94, and it's Kerr, and it's Jeffrey, and that was just absolutely knocking down the wall by Kerr. He clips the curb. Bam. Jeffrey, I don't know if picking the outside was the right move there. We'll ride on board. How long did he have to make that decision? We'll hopefully see a replay from him there. But the caution is out once more on lap number 95. Everybody picked up by the pace car. We'll see Silva, Brewer, Snyder, Graybill, all of them pack up under the safety car, and we will bring every car down pit road here. Hopefully everybody brings it down pit road, and then everybody will be on the same strategy in the top 10.
Yeah, I guess I'm excited to see. It feels like every time we do this, someone stays out and inherits the lead. So we're going to kind of wait and see what happens here. Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 plus laps since everyone pitted last on the lead lap at least. So I would think they're all coming in. But like I said, they've all kind of played this game before of, let me stay out. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think for the first time, all the leaders are coming in.
Here we go through turn 4. Yep, Silva's committed. Brewer, not committed yet. Is it going to be a late turn in? No. Oh, yes it is. He tricked me even. He tricked me. Silva's in, Brewer's in, Snyder's in, Graybill's out, Tomez stays out, Garcia's in, McClellan's in, Regal's in, and Garand is in. Very interesting. Only the 2 teammates are still out there.
Yeah, let me say this. That was a late commitment by Matt Brewer. As you're watching the race off pit road here, you're going to see Silva come out first. That was a late decision by Matt Brewer. But yeah, you have the teammates staying out. And yeah.
Everybody out on track again. It's Graybill, Tomez, Silva, Brewer, Garcia, your top 5. And we're going to throw it to one more break here. When we come back, it'll hopefully be the halfway point of the race, and it'll be 250 more miles in Indianapolis. But we're going to go away for a couple minutes, and hopefully you'll be back with us. Welcome back to the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. Back home again in Indiana, David Graybill is your leader here. And Tim Tomez, teammate right behind him, John Silva, is third. If you're just joining us, we just had a round of pit stops after a caution brought out by Zach Kerr and Eric Jeffrey. The entirety of the top 10 has pitted except for these two leaders, so it's a very interesting difference in strategy here, but they have been the two dominant cars of this race. See if they can stick it up there on 21 lap older rubber, 21 lap thinner fuel tanks though, or less full fuel tanks rather. But as the pace car pulls off once more, it's going to be David Graybill leading Tim Tomez here at Indianapolis. The green flag is out and Graybill is go.
We got trouble in the back in turn one. Trouble in the back is McClelland and others.
And the caution is, oh my goodness, McClelland, Regal. A slide through the infield for Silvio Roberto Sanchez, Matt Crockett as well. We did not make it very far, did we? Who brought this one out? Was it McClelland into the wall on his own? No, it was McClelland losing it, and Regal losing it right behind him.
Snyder lost it.
Multiple drivers just out of control.
Separate on the track before that happened, just as a note, we don't see it yet, Eric Jeffrey lost it too, coming back around.
Many drivers just, I guess, not ready on those fresh tires. Look at that. I think that's what I mentioned earlier, the weight jacker, with how tight these cars have been. They've had their weight jackers turned up, and now that they're on fresh tires, I guess they just weren't prepared for the combination of looseness and fresh tires they were about to experience. And that is, you might think we're in Maryland, but that is a crab and a half as Ken Regal tries to drive that tricycle back to pit road. You might think that looks unrealistic, but if you remember back a couple IndyCar races ago, we saw a car that actually looked like that driving back to pit road. So iRacing, more realistic than you think, is the tire that looks like a biblically accurate angel flops around on the front right corner of that car. That's pretty good car control from Ken Regal to be able to drive that thing.
That's...
Oh, don't hit the leaders. Oh my god. Oh, and he loses it. That's a commentator's curse again. I already put the Kerr in commentator's curse when Zach Kerr hit the wall after I was complimenting him, and oh man, tough break for Regal. Even tougher now.
Would you say you Zach cursed him? Is that what you're saying?
I think that is what I did, unfortunately. So
Okay.
Zach, I'm sorry. I will I'll Venmo you $1 for each lap you're down now. So contact me. David Graybill is your leader as we cross the line to start lap number 100. We're in the triple digits. Everybody celebrate. Break out the pork tenderloin sandwiches. We're halfway.
So, yeah, that caught me. I wasn't expecting pork tenderloin sandwiches. That sounds really good, actually. Let's talk a little bit about the weight jacker. You totally made me lose my train of thought. So, as the more experienced IndyCar driver of the two of us, talk a little bit about the weight jacker. What is its purpose? What does it do? What adjustments are these drivers making within the car?
Well, the weight jacker is kind of key here to running in traffic. It took me so long to learn the weight jacker, but basically, you see a positive number and you see a negative number. If you turn the weight jacker down into the negatives, your car will be tighter. Basically, it'll be more understeery, if you like that term more. It'll struggle to turn more. And if you put it in the positives, it will turn better, but it'll also be looser, more oversteery, and if you get it too high, more out of control. You want to be able to... Tomez is actually clutching here. I just noticed that. He's probably saving fuel here. They've both done 25 laps here. We've got to think now that we're at the halfway point, if drivers were able to do 30-something laps, are they thinking 2 more stops to the end? Do you think that's what they're going to try here?
Yeah,
Maybe one stop to the end, because
I don't think one. Is a big stretch for 100 laps. Two though, I think might be more doable. Yeah, 2 would be doable with a little bit of luck, and a couple more cautions.
Yeah, I forgot that they're on 25-lap-old tires, so yeah, it would be the difference between 2 and 3, I think. But Graybill and Tomez still staying out here. They've shown no interest in coming back in. Just to finish what I was saying about the weight jacker, basically, if you're running behind another car, you really want to be in the positive weight jacker because you're understeering in the dirty air, so you want to make the car turn better, and it'll do that in the dirty air. But once you're in the fresh air and the car is going to be turning better and you're also on fresher tires that are also turning better, if you're in the positive weight jacker on fresh tires, there's going to be so much more grip turning you that, like Snyder and the rest quickly found out in turn 1, it's going to be turning you too much and it's going to be turning you out of control. So that's your weight jacker history lesson for the day. Don't worry if you still don't get it. It took me about 1.5 years to realize what the positive numbers meant and the negative numbers meant. But just looking at the basic data here, we're down to 8 cars in the lead lap, which is actually more than I thought. We were down to 6 at one point. But McClelland and Regal are out. Silvio Roberto Sanchez is still in, but he's got to wait for 2 waves around. And further down, there's lots of cars multiple laps down. Looks like the limit for cars in the lead lap probably going to be about 9.
Yeah, so we're going around here, and this will be the second time Graybill is going to lead us around to the green flag as the lights are off on the pace car. So... well, this will be the second time. This is teammates together again. We'll see how they react here.
I haven't actually mentioned the team they're both on for this entire broadcast because I don't know the way it's pronounced. It's an acronym, SCOWRS. But do you call it Scours? That is the question. I don't know if they call it Scours. I've never actually asked David that question, but we're halfway into the race. Might as well expose my lack of knowledge there. So hopefully somebody can tell me, is it Scours or is it SCOWRS? One way or another. David Graybill is INTHEFORNT. I spelled that wrong, but I don't care. We're green in Indianapolis. David Graybill leads the way. Can you tell it's been a while? It's been a long time.
It's been a long night.
But we are green. It's been a long night for these drivers, too. David Graybill leads the way. There's a lap car. That's Pedro Palladino, who actually just made it out of the pits, exiting the pits now. Back out on the track, right ahead of David Graybill. Graybill should be able to blow by him here. Should be fairly easy.
Please get to the bottom. Please get to the bottom. Stop waving.
Ooh, and he's missing a side pod, too. That's worrying, but Tomez is not going to get to the outside of him. He washes up. Palladino right in front of Tomez. Oh, that car is very much in the way. Hopefully nobody hits him.
Notice that Tomez had no patience for it. Tomez did not lift. He was committed to making that work.
Paladino lets Silva go by here. Garcia's next up to put Paladino a lap down to the inside. Pretty straightforward. Seems like he's getting out of the way now. Well done, Pedro, and well done, Anthony, getting by there. He's up into 4th, where he's been for the majority of this race, just behind a couple sequences of different drivers.
Yeah, what that did, I think, is it's going to keep Matt Brewer right up behind Garcia for now, because that lapped car really held Garcia up for a second. But now Garcia seems to be pulling away.
Speaking of pulling away, David Graybill is well and truly pulling away from Tomez here. It was over a second. It's back to over a second now as they drive through the smoky short chute through turns 1 and 2. They've both run 29 laps. I wonder, when do these two leaders bring it in? Do you think they're going to wait for as long as humanly possible in case a caution comes out, or are they thinking long term here?
At this point, you're committed to either basically being out of gas, or you're committed to maybe the next caution or two. At this point, there's no reason not to run it empty for these guys. They're split apart this deep because of that lapped car getting in the middle, getting in the way, of Tomez. And that's why there's this big gap between them. They probably would prefer to be running a little close together. Tomez would like to have more gas, but that's not the reality for now. Now, that said, though, if I was Graybill, I mean, I know it's only 9/10 of a second. If you're Graybill and you're trying to save gas, it's a little too late, though. But I might not be full bore in that pedal if I didn't need to be.
There's only actually 10 cars left on the track by my count. Everybody in the top 10 is on track. Nobody else behind is. They're all in the pits. So 10 cars left. It's almost like the Freedom 100 here, as we've got 95 laps left to go. Tomez now actually bringing that gap down. It's down to 7/10. I wonder, is Graybill working to save a little bit of extra fuel before they can finally come in here, extending this for as long as possible? Tomez trying to do the same thing. He brought that gap down, but now it's back to over a second, so they're probably doing the same things in that cockpit.
Maybe Graybill is watching along as he's racing and heard the advice.
That's very possible. David, if you're watching this, I don't know. I could dare him to do something. I'm not going to do that. Win the race. I dare you to win the race. That's what I dare you to do. Graybill continues to lead. He's probably not even going to need a dare to win this race if he can stick ahead of Tomez here, who's once again down into the 7s in terms of tenths behind him. But through 1 and 2, he quickly loses it all. Expands back up to a full second. This is lap 32 on both of their stints. Probably only about 3 to 5 laps until they pit is what we're assuming. So we watch them carefully with every lap, but right now, still at full bore, running about only about 4/10 slower than their fastest laps of the race. So they're not clutching and coasting, but they're probably saving a little bit.
Yeah, at this point, though, I mean, let's talk about saving. Right now, if you're saving anything, maybe you're trying to squeeze an extra lap. Maybe the estimate is we can, for example, only go like, let's say 4.9 more laps. Maybe you can squeeze that 5th lap out by saving. But with how far they are into these fuel runs, it's a little late to really do any kind of drastic amounts of savings. If you're going to fuel save, you need to start on like lap 3, lap 4 of a fuel run. And you're going to be coasting through the corners. You'll be lifting. In certain iRacing events, you might even play with your engine mapping to make that happen for you. But it's a little too late to do any kind of drastic savings with how far they are in at this point.
One car down pit road. Who was that? That is Eric Jeffrey, who actually just brought it down, or just brought it back out on track, rather. He's the 11th car running, but he quickly brings it right back down pit road. Probably not happy with the balance of that car. He's going to bring it back in to get a little bit more damage fixed. As Graybill and Tomez continue on here down the back straight, lap number 34 of their stint. Just counting every single lap here. Silva's also probably thinking in his cockpit, when are these guys going to pit? It's been so long. One of these days I'm going to take the lead, but not quite yet through turn 4. Is this the one? Nope. Still going to keep going. "90 laps to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 7 cars left on the lead lap. Let's take a look back at Isaac Snyder again. He seems to have closed up a little bit to the back of Matt Brewer, and by that I mean it's below a second, which is as close as we can expect given the track conditions and the previous runs of this race. Snyder, he's had a solid run. He's been in the wars a little bit, and Graybill's in. Graybill's in. Tim Tomez is not in. He's going to go one more lap, and he's going to hope to overcut his teammate just like Graybill did to him before.
Here comes Graybill down pit road in that 47 machine. Going to pass by Eric Jeffrey here. Graybill is the 4th pit stall. So he'll come all the way down and make this what feels like horribly slow pit road run. I mean, mind you, when I say that, pit road speed is 60 miles an hour here at Indianapolis. So it's not, and that's you know, more than most traffic that we in the States run in our own cars. But when you've been going 200, 220 most of the night, 60 feels horrible, and he's back out.
And as he comes out, Tomez comes in, gets that car slowed down. Silva takes the lead, but Tomez is on pit road. It was a 9.4 second stop for Graybill. He's going to be hoping for a little bit of a quicker one.
Now, here's the talk. I don't think they can do it. I think it's too much. We're talking... we talked about maybe them trying to do it in 2 stops. I don't think... I don't know. I don't think it's doable. I think it's going to be... You'd have to start saving now, and I think the saving you would have to do would be the detriment. The only way would be cautions and a little bit of saving, but I think it's still a 3-stop race for those guys. So now Silva might find himself in the proverbial driver's seat here, where with that different pit strategy, maybe he's able to stay out and not need that extra pit stop.
This is why we run the races, folks. The strategy still completely undecided. Ooh, Tim Tomez pit exit there. I've not been very reliable in my judgments of pit exits, but he was a little bit far to the right there. I hope he doesn't get an unsafe pit exit for that. But one way or another, he's well behind his teammate, 2.3 seconds behind his teammate. In fact, he was only half a second slower in the box, only 0.2 seconds slower overall through pit road, but that undercut rather for Graybill clearly worked out because he has pulled a massive gap on his teammate, and he's in 6th and his teammate's in 7th.
See here, watching those teammates go around here. There's John Silva, our race leader. You should go by your screen in that black, blue, and green car. Thought about him being a regular in the iRacing IndyCar Fixed Series. Like 11 wins this season, so he'd hope to rack up a 12th win this season. It won't be official, but listen, I don't care if it's a special event, if it's a hosted event, if it's anything. Winning an Indy 500 is winning an Indy 500. It's something to be proud of, no matter how you accomplish it.
Winning any race on iRacing is always a proud accomplishment, even if it's something single split with at 12 p.m. It's always a proud accomplishment when you win a race on iRacing, and especially when it's a race as long as this one. It's certainly been an endurance race. It's been a little bit over 2 hours so far, and we've got 85 laps left to go. It's been a calm period of the race since the last restart. We've got so few cars left on the track. It seems like the drivers who were struggling a little bit more have been weeded out, and the drivers who are going to be our fighters for the win, they're the ones that are left. They're the ones that seem most in control. And hopefully that means that we'll be able to go for a long green flag run here.
Yeah, we are, on the verge of that long green flag run. As the field thins out, it's usually easier to get these runs. Usually your drivers who have a harder time with the car have gone home for the evening and packed it up. And so now you have the guys who understand the car, feel more confident in the car, and are ready to run and play the strategy game.
Now it is just the waiting game. How far can Silva go? How far can Garcia go? Brewer, Snyder, and Garand. Once they pit, Graybill and Tomez will come back to the lead, but it's going to be that switching game for basically the rest of the race if we continue to go green. We've Silva's run and Garcia's run, they've been all green, right? They pitted under the last caution. So Graybill and Tomez were able to go like 35 laps with that little bit of yellow running. When do you think Silva and Garcia are going to come in? Maybe around 29, 30?
I was thinking 30 would be the goal. Those caution laps definitely help. So we'll have to wait and see. I see around 30 laps here. So yeah, that's probably my goal if I would say we could shoot for one. But I think the question here is, do they pit late enough to chop off even a short pit stop that Graybill and Tomez may have to do? But this is that part of the night. Listen, here's the other part of endurance we talk about. It is currently 11:45 p.m. Eastern, 8:45 p.m. West Coast, and other times, 3 in the morning GMT. It's hard to stay up this night and be this, now the race almost gets boring. It's hard to kind of keep your head in the game because now you're just listening to that tone of the engine. There's no traffic to focus on. It's almost easier to lose focus at this moment than you think it would be because now you're just sort of talking to yourself. I don't do this, but some drivers like to listen to music. I don't know how you do that in a race. I would kill myself and everyone in the race if I did that. But this is actually the easier part where a single slip up now means almost a bigger penalty to you in the race because, yeah, it's so much later in the race here.
I'd like some music on the broadcast. Maybe we could get some June Lalonde material here to spice up. Oh,
sorry,
dear.
Snyder almost got run to the wall.
Oh dear.
The heck was that? Sorry.
It's past the watershed. Don't worry. It's 11:45.
Yeah, Snyder almost got ran to the inside wall by Silvio, and I'm not sure what that was all about, honestly.
Let's take a look. Oh dear.
We can back to replay up a little bit more than that. You'll see it here. I was talking about how late it was and how your mindset gets, and maybe Silvio fell a victim of that. I'm not sure. Watch this here.
And Snyder here. Yep. Is it like he commits down to the bottom and then he changes his mind and then yeah. He was trying to get out of the way, but sometimes when you're trying so hard to get out of the way, you end up putting yourself in the way.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of things that when I talk with drivers about endurance racing, we teach is be predictable. Whether you're a lapped car or you're just letting maybe someone buy the same class or different classes, be predictable. Isaac Snyder thought he knew what was going to happen there, and he went based upon the way Silvio had been racing, and then he wasn't predictable, and that almost got really ugly here on the later laps of this race.
Brewer passing by one of the lapped cars of Crockett, and this is a change for the lead. Nope, just kidding. I got tricked. Garcia makes the move on Palladino, who's a lap down. Garcia up, well, not up to second. He's still second, but he does manage to get through one of the members of the lap traffic brigade. Next up on his list is the similarly liveried Silva car, but he's got quite a ways to go before he can catch him. Brewer, the next car, trying to get around lap traffic here. Seen a lot of problems getting around lap traffic, but Palladino seems to have learned where to go. Here comes Brewer to the inside. Yep, straightforward stuff as Brewer navigates through the traffic. He's on the podium for now from last. Can he make up 2 more spots and win this thing? Lap 27 for Silva and Garcia, 28 for Brewer. It's only a matter of time until they pit here.
Yeah, definitely. Any time now, I'd expect to see them come in. Obviously, Silva first, and then he's led, so he'll have burned more fuel. But honestly, with the gaps that Garcia and Brewer have, they're not benefiting from any draft. So it's not like maybe when we saw Graybill and Tomez doing it, where one was saving gas because of the other. These guys are all probably burning about equal amounts of gas.
Snyder having war flashbacks there with Palladino. He navigates through another lapped car. Navigates his way through turn 1. Safe and sound. Scrolling through all the cars on track here. Looks like, yeah, about 10 total here. 2 of them are multiple laps down. 3 of them are multiple laps down, rather. And it's a 7-way fight for the win. I'd say the driver we've talked about the least is Jeremy Garand in the number 55. He started 25th. I've given all the credit to Matt Brewer for his drive through the field. He's gone from 27th to 3rd. Garand has gone from 25th to 5th. The Pennsylvania driver in that Menards. Is that a Tony Stewart car? I think that's a Tony Stewart car, but he's done a great job. He's been completely anonymous, but that's a good thing. He hasn't caused any trouble, and he's in the top 5.
That's a good run for him. Sometimes the quiet cars are the ones that sneak their way in because they're the ones that have been involved in the least amount of stuff, and you know, they still are willing to push it because they've not been involved in anything yet.
Silva crosses the line to make that 30 laps on this tank of fuel. It's got to be a matter of time till these drivers bring it in. Through turn 4, he's at full speed, so he's not saving any at this point in the race. At least it doesn't seem. But will he commit to pit entry here? We wait to watch him navigate through turn 3 and 4. It's a completely blank track in front of him. That just goes to show how many cars we've lost from this race. Normally at this stage in the Indy 500, there'd be tons of lap traffic. But Silva running completely alone, and he's going to keep running completely alone because he's going for another lap.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously the benefit of having these gaps these guys have, as Garcia and Brewer have and Silva has, is that you can be a little patient. You can maybe lift a little, although as we look at these guys, when we look at the in-car views, I mean, they're up in 5th gear. They're maxing the revs. This is John Silva we're looking at. There's no, actually, Matt Brewer just called his pit. Matt Brewer will be pitting this time. But there's little indication they're trying to lift and save fuel there.
Here we go. Matt Brewer, the first driver to bite, and that may be not surprising because he's run one more lap than the other 3 in the top 4. So Brewer brings it down pit road after 32 laps on this stint. Maybe that means Silva, Garcia, and Snyder will also bring it in. We'll have to wait and see. He was about 6 seconds behind Silva at the time of coming in, so that's going to be a big gap to make up on any sort of undercut, especially if those drivers come straight back in, but we'll see if he can make up any ground here. It's a pretty good stop. Stays in his stall. Doesn't overcook it. 4 tires going on. Full fuel. And it's a 9.5 second stop. About average compared to everything else we've seen. And hopefully Silva brings it in this time. No, he doesn't. He's found some extra fuel.
Quick note, that was Matt Crockett in the back of that pitting screen there who had a small argument with the yellow cone, if you want to say it that way. The cone lost. It went flying, but that was Matt Crockett who hit the yellow cone. No penalty, though, that I can see.
And here comes Snyder. Silva's not in, but Garcia is in. Snyder is in, and we'll see Garand come in a little bit. But Snyder bringing it down pit road. Here's Silva through turn 3 and 4. There's no way he can go one more lap. He's got to bring it in this time. Through turn 4, unless he's been miraculously saving fuel. Yep, there he goes. Everybody's in the top 4 at least.
So basically pitting on lap, let's say 127 to 129, 130 here. So these guys could be looking at maybe 2 more stops to make this race happen. So their hope is that that last stop, they need less fuel than Tomez and Graybill. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. See if another caution comes out. If they stay green, this will be a lot of mathing, as you said earlier, to get us there.
Here comes Graybill down the front straight. Does he beat Silva out? That's going to be the question. Silva's down there in the apron. And yeah, it's going to be pretty easily. David Graybill past John Silva. Tomez, though, critically, is not going to be past Silva. Or at least he isn't yet. He might get by him with the momentum here down the back straight, but that is a big jump from Silva. Here comes Tomez. He's got the run. Silva pulls out of the way, maybe expecting Tomez to follow him, but no, Tomez blows by. It's back to a 1-2 for the Scours cars, but Silva is back in what will be de facto third. As actually Jeremy Garand has taken the lead here, and he's got a couple more laps left on this stint, so maybe he could be the spoiler.
Yeah, we talked about how sometimes these silent cars are the ones to look out for. I I'm curious what you have for him as far as number of laps he's been out. I think my timing and scoring is a little off. I actually am out for 19 laps. I know it's been longer than that, right?
Yeah, it says 32.
Okay,
So
yeah, mine is off.
With 69 laps left in the race, he'd need to save a whole heck of a ton. And even if he did that, he would lose all this ground he has in the lead compared to the other two drivers. So he's going to be hoping for a caution from one of these drivers. And yeah, here he comes. 25th to first. Now he's going to go to the back of the top 7 here. Still a pretty good result in 7th, but he's got some work to do if he wants to be able to steal this one.
And so with that, Grey Bill will take the lead here officially for that lap. And Grey Bill and Tomez are back to 1 and 2. Interesting to note is Silva is not that far behind him.
Silva, who almost beat Tomez out of the pits. He just needed that little bit of extra speed, but he was critically behind by about 8 tenths. Only 8 tenths. I don't quite remember what the gap was between Tomez and Silva before this whole cycle played out, but it feels like he's quite a bit closer than he was before. So with likely 2 stops to go, for, let me think here, Grey Bill and Tomez. It's lap 133. They've done 22 and 21 laps respectively. They can do 10 more laps. That'll take them to 143. So Grey Bill and Tomez need 2 more stops. Math is hard, but I think everybody needs 2 stops.
Everybody needs 2 stops. The question for the last stop is going to be who needs more or less gas on that last stop. I think that'll be the key factor we're going to stare at. How much time are you spending on pit road? If we stay green, that's going to determine or at least have a big say in who wins this race. But what I find interesting here is Silva. I mean, he did a pit cycle. He's got new tires. He's got more gas. And he's right here behind Grey Bill and Tomez. That is a sign that, maybe he has a winning strategy here, in my opinion, that he's already back up to them. And as their tires wear, he'll probably close that gap a little bit more, I would assume.
He actually is closing the gap under green here. It's down to about 7 tenths, and the caution is out. Oh dear, one of the 9 cars on track has crashed. Which one is it?
It's Pedro Palladino.
Pedro Palladino spins it. Is he driving it back out on track? No, he isn't, but let's take a look here. Through turn 4. Yep, too much curb. That'll do it. Pow. Oh, and he backs up across the track. That, again, not smart, but luckily nobody collected him, and that just made the strategy somewhat interesting here. Here's, Palladino. Yeah, that was basically in the grass. That was way too low. And then he's trying to get out of the way here, I think, but again, in trying to get out of the way, they made a dangerous situation. But anyway, he's out of it. 7 cars left on the lead lap, 10 cars left on the track, and now it's... Does this caution change anything, do you think?
I think everybody comes in here. I mean, I know some of the guys just came in, but I would think even the guys who just came in, you're going to come in and top it off at least. Everyone's going to want to be on the same fuel run together, I would assume. Lap 135, lap 7,200. You're talking maybe one more stop from here. I would think one more stop right around... If you could stretch it to like somewhere between 165, 170, you could get one more stop in here, I think.
This is tight stuff, but there's a difference in opinion here. Grey Bill brings it down pit road. Tomez does, but Silva stays out. Garcia's in, Brewer's in, Snyder's out. And Garand, is he going to stay out? No, he brings it in. So it's just Snyder and Silva who have elected to stay out here. That's very interesting. With 65 laps left to go. That's 2 stops if you're able to stretch it. Or 1 stop, rather. 1 stop splitting the 2. They have to stop either way to make it to the end. Man, this is just... How much we've been struggling with this? Imagine how much they've been struggling with it in the cockpits of these cars, trying to figure out this strategy. Silva and Snyder clearly think staying out and just extending the stint as long as they can is the way to go, but oh man, I truly have no idea which one of these strategies is going to come out on top.
Well, I mean, it's all a question of what happens in a race from here on out. If we could stay green to the end of the race, Silva and Snyder lose. That's just how simple it is. That's not a negative towards them. It's not meant to sound like they're bad people, but that's going to be the reality to it, because we're already talking about Graybill, Tomez, Garcia, and Brewer. Those guys, we're already talking about them needing to save every smidgen of fuel possible to make it one stop. That means for Silva and Snyder, it's not doable. There's no way. So they're banking on more cautions, but we have to wait. If that's the question. More cautions means these guys might luck out. No cautions, and they'll find themselves not eligible for victory on lap 200.
We've got to think about what happened on that last restart with the amount of cars that lost it into turn one, seemingly not ready to be in control of their cars with how they changed their tools. Silva, Snyder was one of the cars that lost it. Oh, and this is very interesting. They're coming down pit road again to get an extra lap of fuel.
I was just about to bring this up. Tomez and Graybill, they want every ounce, liter, gallon, whatever you want to measure it in. They want every smidgen of fuel you can think of. So I see Graybill, Tomez, Garand, I think, are the three I see on pit road.
Yep, they're all down there getting that something like 3 seconds extra of fuel into the car and a 1 lap fresher set of tires. Why not? There's no tire limit. Might as well take them while you're down here. But they will rejoin in 5th, 6th, and 7th. There's 7 cars left on the lead lap, and they're all on somewhat differing strategies. So it's not, I don't predict that it's going to be a ding-dong passing race to the finish, but it is going to be an absolutely enthralling strategy race if we do go green all the way.
It really is. And this is a talk about what do they have to lose. I mean, for those guys, for Graybill, for Tomes, for Garand, you're back in 7th. Maybe you lost a spot, but okay, I'll take that risk for the extra fuel. I'm surprised maybe that Brewer or Garcia didn't take that risk. Maybe they didn't think about it. Maybe they don't think they need it. Maybe they know something more than I know. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
I mean, with how important track position's been, can't really hurt to have those 2 extra positions, unless, of course, you lose those positions because you've wasted too much fuel. But we will see what happens. We're going to go green here. John Silva back in the lead, ahead of Isaac Snyder. These are the 2 drivers who didn't come in under the last caution, and they will lead us to green here. They're doing something different. John Silva has a clean track in front of him. When does he choose to go? He chooses to go quite early, and he's going now. Snyder in tow. We're back green again. 63 laps left to go. Brewer and Garcia side by side. Garcia knows this is the time to make the move, and he's able to get by Brewer around the outside in turn 1. Next up on his list is Snyder. He's on fresher. Oh, but he has to lift, and he almost hits the wall. And there's contact down the back straight, and he's into the inside wall.
Oh, that's a hard hit. Oh, my goodness. That's going to be stay green for now, I think. We're going to wait and see what the admins do. That's going to stay green. He's down in the grass, not up on the racing surface. But, that's just an unfortunate where if he didn't hit the wall, he came smidgens close. Let's watch here.
Yeah, I don't think he hit the wall, but he lifted, and then Brewer, we talked about how sometimes you don't have time to react. I think he did, and he just, I think, misjudged where he was supposed to go.
Yeah, he, you're this late in the race, maybe you're in no lift mode, maybe you just you can break that momentum, or maybe you just judge poorly out of fatigue, but yeah, that's unfortunate.
Side by side with Garand now. He's clearly not fazed by what happened. Gets to the outside and down the back straight. Garand, I think, just backs out of it. Going to run in tow here. Brewer back up into the top 5. Garand falls to 6th. That makes it 6 cars left on the lead lap. A couple more lappers still running around on track. Jeffrey Kruska's actually back out on track. So William Kruska, I thought he was out of this to do a little bit of admin duty, but no, he's back out there. 81 laps down, but he might be able to pick up a couple extra positions here.
Well, so far, if we look towards the front here, you'll see that Silva and Snyder have pulled out to the lead here. They're single file. They have a 2.5 roughly second lead over Graybill and Tomez. By the way, I love that helmet, by the way. I just want to say that from Snyder, who watched it as he's racing here. They can kind of get comfortable. They can try to feel safe here if they want to. Maybe lift, maybe not get full into the throttle here. You see them using, you see here that Snyder was using 6th gear. That's a drafting gear here in these Indy cars.
Yeah, remember?
Yes.
Oh, that was dicey there. He almost pulled a Payadino.
Yeah.
But remember what Isaac told us in that interview. He said 6th gear, fuel save. That's what he was doing under caution.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to. And that's where I was headed with that. And I kind of paused there for a second. But yeah, 6th gear. When he's not in drafting, he's not within the draft of Silva. So he's using that to fuel save. Was my point. So he's hoping to save every bit of fuel he can to see what can happen at the end here. But wow, he almost lost that car. That was super scary.
Through 1 and 2, running a little bit higher, a little bit safer this time as to hopefully not kill the car. Yep, above the white line. Elio Castroneves style. He's nice and safe now, but he did lose about 6/10 in that little endeavor. But Matt Brewer, he's got pretty good pace, it seems like. Or at least he seems to be faster than Tomez. Whether that's good or not, Tomez might be saving a little bit of extra fuel. Brewer seems like he might be in a full gas mode here as he has caught well to the back of Tomez through turn 4 onto the front straight. Not close enough to draft up and make the move yet, but I have a feeling that Brewer's saving a little bit less fuel than Tomez is, because look at the closing rate here. To the outside, not quite there yet, but we'll see if Brewer maybe catches on here and just runs in the draft to save a little bit of fuel, but at the moment, it seems like he really wants to make that pass.
I mean, he does want to make that pass. He knows we're getting to that point now where you're not going to get that many opportunities to make a pass. He's going to try it on the outside here. He's now going to try to cross it over maybe. Let's see. Nope, going to stick to the outside here again. This will be out of 4. Now these guys are going to kill each other as far as time to the car ahead of them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I think Tomez is going to be happy with this, though, because he's going to have a car ahead of him, directly ahead of him, to save a little bit of fuel. Graybill's 5 seconds up the road, but now he's got Matt Brewer right ahead of him. In the draft, you can save a little bit of fuel, get up into that 6th gear like Snyder is. I think this is actually a good thing for Tomez. I think Brewer's helping him unintentionally. But Tomez, critically, he has to stay in the draft of Brewer, because if Brewer's not deliberately helping him, he's trying to run away. He can't slow himself down to help Tomez, but Tomez has to... He's in 5th gear, so he's not doing what Isaac Snyder did. He's, I guess, not saving as much. He has less laps to save than Snyder does, that's for sure, but he still has some fuel to save, and clearly he thinks that can be done in 5th gear in the draft of Brewer here. 55 laps left to go. Tomez is in 5th, and pit stops for those top 2 should be coming in about 15 laps time.
Interesting note here, we're getting a report that possibly Tomez is reporting that he hit some debris in the last caution, and he thinks that car is a little bit hurt because of it. So that may be what's going. He may not be fuel saving. He just doesn't think he has the car power to get up there and keep up with Brewer. Reports are he told Brewer to go to the outside, and he would try to stick with him.
That's very interesting. I'm gonna go back and take a look at the last caution with Payadino and see, did Tomez actually hit anything? He hit a piece of front wing, but I don't think front wing debris can actually cause damage. I'm not sure if that's a thing. That might be a little bit of phantom damage where you think you have damage because you hit something and it feels like you do, but it's actually just whatever the word is, psychosomatic response, and you're not actually damaged, but one way or another, it is slowing Tomez down. Also, I'd just like to register, I believe that was the first use of the word psychosomatic in GSRC history.
Yeah, we talked earlier in the race about how there's the physical aspect of the car and there's the mental aspect of the driver, and that goes both ways. Whether it means you think you have damage or whether it means you feel great because you have new tires or more gas or whatever you need to win, that can go both ways for a driver.
Graybill's actually catching Snyder here. I'm looking at the lap time difference. That was a much bigger gap a couple laps ago. Snyder obviously doing big saving. Graybill also trying to save, but clearly a little bit less. He's very much closing to the back of Isaac Snyder. Not going to be close enough to make a move now or probably in a couple more laps time through turn 4. It's about 0.8 of a second. See if he can push his way forward here. Back to 6th place, the last car in this fight. Garand also is catching Tim Tomez here, so Tomez's problems continue as he continues to fall back. He's actually running almost a second slower than the 4 cars ahead of him. Now Garand trying to catch up to the back of him just like Brewer did. Should be a fairly straightforward move if he can catch him, but that's easier said than done. There's a lot of ground to make up.
So you got to think right now as we're into this run, you have to think these guys are starting to play with the weight jacker lap by lap, trying to stay comfortable, trying to keep up with the car, and, probably trying to, at this point I would think maybe as the tires are going to wear off, they're going to want to keep the car tight. These cars are going to want to loop around, I would think. We're getting a report of a car stuck on the road in turn 3 and 4. I don't know who that is, but I'm hearing that being yelled across race control.
It appears that they're gone, whoever it was, so if there was a car stuck between 3 and 4, we've luckily gotten rid of them. No caution will come out. As we're on lap number 150, we've only got 1/4 of the race to go. This green flag run, fittingly, when you run laps at 200 miles per hour, the race goes by pretty darn fast, and it appears, it was Palladino again who crashed. I just looked back. He crashed again in turn 3, but he was able to drive it away and down pit road, so no caution came out. We're safe once more, and seems pretty likely that we might go green for these last 50 laps. I don't want to curse it, but with so few cars left on track, there's fewer chances for that to actually be able to happen.
So while we have a moment, I just want to give a shout out to the Sim Racers for Mental Health group. They have a great presence on Facebook and other outlets where you can go sign up for the races, and they they advocate for mental health, was an important thing. Joey, you started the broadcast tonight by talking about how May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so please take a moment and check that out. There's no shame in looking and asking for help, so if someone out there needs that, please check them out on Facebook or check out other resources. It's an important thing.
Indeed it is. Racing for a great cause here. It's not just an Indy 500, it's an Indy 500 for this good cause, and all of these sim racers for mental health events do good for good causes, and they've donated money, they've raised money for these mental health causes. It's always a good time doing these sim racers for mental health events, whether it's at Indy, whether it's at Daytona. We've done one at Talladega. They've always been interesting, and they always have pretty good finishes, which is looking to be the way this race is shaping up, as Tomez just had a big wiggle there through the short chute through 1 and 2. Did he hit the wall? He got awfully close. Nope, did not hit the wall, but let's take a look at the closeness of that as Garand sneaks behind him here. We've had a lot of these incidents where you can just fit a slip of paper between the car and the safer barrier, and Tomez joins the fray.
For us NFL fans out there, you might remember the index card. That's about what we're getting down to measuring by for these wall hits here.
And Grant really closed up the back of him, but he hasn't been able to make the move. I thought he would be able to, but it hasn't happened yet. Through 1 and 2 again. Much, much cleaner for Tomez. Much further from the wall this time. Garand he's there, but he's just not close enough to be able to draft up to the back of him and make the move to the inside or the outside. Back to the two leaders again. I'm still thinking fuel here. It's been 25 laps. maybe like 8 more laps is the limit of what they can do theoretically. But Silva here is actually going to catch a lapped car. Oh, but he's not going to be able to save any fuel. The car of Crockett is going very slow, and Silva's going to blow by him. So no fuel save help there, but they got to come in here soon.
And the question I have, though, is like one of two things is happening here. Either Snyder and Graybill and others are fuel saving, or Silva is just pushing harder than ever, because that gap is increasing lap by lap by lap. And so either Snyder's fuel saving, which we can kind of see here, you look at him in 6th gear, so he definitely is trying to fuel save because he did not pit under that last caution. But Silva does not appear to be backing it down at all. I mean, he's opened this gap to almost 7 seconds on Snyder. This is interesting by Silva. If I were in Silva's shoes, I'd be closing that gap down a little bit at this point. There's no need to be 7 seconds ahead when you know that there's still a pit stop involved, I don't think.
Yeah, Snyder has consistently been the slowest car on the track. I mean, by design. He's deliberately doing this. He's not just driving slowly, but he's consistently in the 41.5s. Meanwhile, Silva is consistently, in the 41.0s. So he's half a second faster. They're both in clean air, so it has nothing to do with dirty air, but that just goes to show what Derek said, how much faster Silva is going compared to Snyder. And David Graybill, he was also going faster than Snyder, but unfortunately, there seems to be about a second bubble between these two cars. Graybill isn't pushing especially hard to pass Snyder, but he also hasn't been able to close up that gap at all.
Yeah, so Joey, talk about for a second, if you don't mind, what is that bubble of the draft or the tow here for the Indy cars? How close does Graybill need to be to Snyder before he starts benefiting from that draft?
He's got on. I mean, when you get too close, especially with the dirty air is a thing no matter how close you get. But if you want to be able to make a move, you've really got to be in like that 3 to 2/10 range as you go through turn 2 or turn 4 coming to the front or back straight if you want to be able to make the move. So when you're like 1.2 seconds back, even if you're only half a second back, when you're feeling that awful dirty air, it's not helping you whatsoever. And that's kind of what the bubble is. The dirty air prevents you from getting any closer and actually being able to make a move. But if you can break the bubble, if you can pop the bubble and get in that 2 to 3/10 range, you do start getting the actual draft down the straights, and you can get close enough to make the move. If you're able to make the move, that is. If you're able to make the move around the outside, or if you're able to sneak to the inside, but that's half the battle anyway. Closing is half the battle. Making the move is the other half.
Agreed. Just a point of note, you may have seen me been talking about pit stops. That car you saw pit was the lap down car of Matt Crockett, so not involved in our late race spreadsheet math we're trying to do in our heads. So that's who you saw on pit road, just for the curiosity's sake. Isaac Snyder, though, pitting in this time, calling it out.
Here he comes, 30 laps. That's the number for him. Is he going to get it slowed down? Yes, he is, I think. Yep, he got that slowed down. Well done.
That was close. I was about as nervous as you were. So there we go. Snyder now on lap 160 at 40 laps to the end. I don't see it. Not going to happen. So he's hoping for a caution here or something miraculous in this last part of the race.
He's got to hope that he isn't the caution as well. Sometimes when you're wishing so hard for a caution, you become the caution, and that is the worst thing to happen. He leaves his pit stall, 10.1 seconds in the box, maximum amount of fuel in that car, and he's hoping to pull off the impossible, but it's called the impossible for a reason. 40 laps when the limit seems to be 33, even with heavy saving. He would probably have to be clutching and coasting every lap, and when you're doing that, you're just going too slow to win the race. So Snyder hoping for a yellow. Silva also hoping for a yellow. He'll probably be in here soon. And that tells me that if we go green, it's going to be a battle between Graybill, Brewer, Tomez, and Grant.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe this is the time. We keep saying, is this the time? And eventually it has to be. Here he comes, though. Down pit road. Here comes Silva.
Looks like this will be the race for 5th once everything shakes out, but Silva much cleaner into the pit box, much less scary, or into the pit lane rather, but he will bring it down into the box, and He had about a 7-second gap back to Snyder, so as long as nothing goes terribly wrong, he should still be ahead of him, but he's gotta get out of the pit lane first.
That he does. That's going to cycle Graybill up to the lead for now. That'll put him at a 13-second lead over Matt Brewer. So a nice sizable gap here. And now Graybill could be the guy maybe to lift a little bit, because we're thinking they can do it one stop, but we know it's close. I suspect we'll see everyone down pit road within the next 8 laps at the most. So the pit road's about to get really busy.
Silva and Snyder hoping for a caution. Graybill in a very, very comfortable first place, 14 seconds ahead of Brewer. The question is, how can Brewer make up this gap if there is no caution? It's 14 seconds. You can't just make that up by driving it. Both drivers will make it to the end on fuel. What can he do?
You don't. It's probably the real answer. The only way you're going to make it up at this point is by basically taking a risk and with how much fuel you need. You know, maybe undercutting it and trying to save on track, maybe spending less time on pit road. That's the only way you're going to, but I don't think you're closing 14 seconds that way either. Like, I don't know what you're going to do to close 14 seconds besides get a yellow. Graybill is in control here. He is, you know, at the mercy of the flagman. Otherwise, I think this is probably Graybill's race to lose at this point.
"36 laps to go." Here's Brewer in the background there. That is not Silva? Who is that? Is that the Palladino's back out on track. It's probably mean if I say this, but he's caused 2 incidents in recent laps. Is that going to be what David Graybill is very happy about? Is he going to be happy to see Palladino here? And is he going to be hoping that he brings out another caution?
He might be hoping, but...
Or not
Yeah.
Graybill, rather. Graybill's not hoping for a caution. He's in a great position, but the other 5.
Yeah.
Speaking of the team Graybill is on, Tomez just got by Palladino fairly straightforwardly. Next up is Garand. This will become the battle for the podium between Tomez and Garand. Tomez thinks he has damage. He may not. Garand, very clean car. Scott Brayton, Tony Stewart, whatever it is a beautiful tribute Menards livery as he washes up into the dirty air of Palladino here down the front straight. Palladino's 24 laps down, and he gets out of the way and brings it down pit road.
That was a quick move down pit road.
So does Brewer. Brewer's down pit road too.
Brewer is on pit road. That is right on the verge of making it here. That's interesting. So he's going to need to put more fuel in the car than Graybill.
I feel like this is more than, because it's lap 166. He's going to have to do 34 laps to the end.
This is close. That's asking a lot of that car without some fuel saving. A lot of guys at this point, I think in an Indy 500, you've accepted your fate. As horrible as that sounds to say, with the way these cars drive, with the way you pace around, with the way that's hard to pass here, a lot of these guys now have accepted their fate as to what's going to happen unless a caution comes out. You know, we run the race for a reason because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, Graybill's in the proverbial driver's seat right now with a great chance here.
Here's Silva on Tomez, differing strategies. Silva has likely one more stop to go. Tomez does as well. But Silva's streaking away here, 20 seconds up the road to David Graybill.
Yeah, well, quick shout out, by the way, just while we have a moment here. Prescott came back out and ran a few more laps. I think he's pitted again, so maybe he's going to call it again. But he keeps toughing it out, trying to get out there and run laps when the car will allow him. So, you know, big shout out there to do that.
Yeah, there's no championship points to fight for because this is just a singular event, but that's always the strategy we like to see in full season play. When every point matters in some of the other racing leagues, racing series on iRacing, you always want every point, you always want every position, and even in a charity event, you still want to be as high as you can. He's up to 16th, and he would have been 19th if he didn't do that. So, and here comes Tomez. Tomez is in.
Another one of those cars that are fighting for the lead. Now we're getting to the point now, 31, 32 laps to go. Now we're getting safer into that run where I would feel safe that, yeah, he can make it. So Tomez looking good here. This is one of the cars who pitted in that last caution.
And Gray Bill's in too.
Gray Bill's in right behind him. Locked it up there coming in. I mean, obviously you're going to take new tires regardless, but just a small note there. He did smoke those tires.
Gray Bill had that 16-second lead before bringing it in. As long as everything goes straightforwardly here, he will likely come out in the lead anyway. Garand bringing it around, and Garand bringing it in. Garand is the final pitter of those 4 drivers who only have this one stop to go. They can all make it to the end. Silva and Snyder, we believe, can't.
So I don't believe Silva and Snyder can make it. It is a point of note here that at least temporarily, Silva is going to take the lead here until his next pit stop. But at least for the moment, when we cross the line again, Silva, will once again be scored as the leader of this race.
Now, this is critical for Graybill. He's got to make sure he doesn't lose focus here. He has such a big lead. It would be very easy for him to just kind of lose focus and make a mistake. Not that he personally makes a lot of mistakes, but just any driver, when you're this comfortable, you've got to stay on here. You got to not do anything stupid. You've got a big lead, and it's easy to hang on to it. And it looks like Graybill does survive that outlap, and he will rejoin the race in third. Will become the lead in whenever Snyder and Silva come in. Garand and Tomez, this is for position, but Garand slots in behind Tomez in P6.
Yeah, so you said the important words there. When they come in, per our math, there's no way they're going to make it under green to the end. So it's a matter of when. So there's effectively 2 leaders right now. There's the actual race leader, John Silva, and then there is the race for the eventual lead, which is Graybill and Tomez and Garand. Yes.
And even if Isaac Snyder is able to save that much fuel, it won't matter. Because look, David Graybill is 1 second behind him. If he's going so slow to save like 7 extra laps of fuel, which is physically impossible anyway, he's going to lose that position anyway. He's not going to win anyway. So that's the trade-off. When you're doing fuel saving, you've got to make sure you're not going so slow that any benefit you get from the saving just loses you the position anyway.
No, yeah, I mean, you're right. There's no way that Snyder's going to make this work, but I can see with how not off pace, but how much slower he's going to fuel save, they will get around him as far as I can tell.
28 laps left to go here. Silva still has not brought it in, and he's done 11 laps on this stint. Do you think he goes all the way? Do you think he waits until 31, 32? Or does he bring it in early and try and make up a little bit of ground from the back?
Oh, at this point, you're committed. You're hoping for the yellow. You're going to run it until you can't run it around again because you're just praying for the yellow. That I don't even know what that even does for you, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing that could happen here that I could think could be a potential, and I think even this is too far out, is you get a yellow within 5 to go where the race won't restart, and you try and coast it around. But I think even they don't have a gas for that. I'm not sure. That'd be because even if a yellow does come out, like Silva's going to pit, Snyder would pit, but I don't see the benefit in. I guess maybe tires would be the benefit for the others to pit, depending upon what happens.
Snyder just came in.
Okay, so he's going to try to load it full of fuel and tires and just go full bore, I guess.
Isaac Snyder makes his final stop of the day, but he does go a lap down, as have Tomez and Garand. They've been so far back that they have gone a lap down to our race leader, John Silva. But we have a battle here for what will likely eventually become P3. Garand and Tomez, this is for position. These guys both have enough fuel to make it to the end, theoretically. This is for the last spot in the top 3. Theoretically.
And theoretically, also car in the wall. Who was?
Oh, Was it
That's
Palladino?
it
Yep.
was Palladino again.
But no caution came out for that, which is not what some of the drivers wanted to see. They wanted a caution to come out for that, but it did not. Palladino brings it down pit road to get that car repaired once again with 24 laps left to go. There's another car leaving pit road. Is that Crockett again coming back out on track? Yes, it is. The Liquid Death car. Only 4 laps down, so he's going to get a P7 finish here just by virtue of staying out there and trucking.
I want to point out, Matt Brewer called out that car wrecking out of 4. He was trying to convince race control that it deserved a caution, but they got off track and race control said, no, you're fine.
Graybill is still actually running half a second slower than Silva per lap, which is interesting because he shouldn't have to save fuel anymore. And Silva does, but Silva's continuing to run half a second faster. The pit delta is way too big for Silva to be able to stretch a gap to be able to come out ahead of Graybill, but he's stretching it as much as he can.
I mean, you might as well try at this point. What do you have to lose? You know you're not going to make it on fuel. You're just going to go for it. You're just going to have to, to use the iRacing term, you're going to go a full send here and see what happens and see what comes out of it. I mean, we're talking, a 19.5-second gap here. So we're going to come across the line again, or at least Graybill is right about now. But yeah, just got to see what happens here. I'm surprised as well. I'm more conservative in my race strategies. If I was Silva, I would probably, back it up by 15 seconds to see if I could save something out of this in case, but that's not the strategy here that Silva's going with.
Update on that battle, or what might be P3. Garand has gotten by Tomes, so he's up to P4. The question is, will that become P3 or even P2 when Silva and Brewer come in?
Yeah, Silva to set your fastest lap of the race here. Something also to note, he is getting a small bit of a tow from P3, which is Matt Brewer, because he's about to try to lap him. Now, this is another case where I could see that, slow down, save fuel, but once again, it's not the case here. We're about 21 laps to go. Whoa, Brewer tracked out pretty far there. I got a little nervous, but yeah, we're good.
Silva's got to be careful here. If he does go for the move to lap Brewer, he can't make contact with him. Here he goes to the inside, and Brewer backs out. Very nice from Brewer. Washes up a little bit, but he didn't hit the wall.
Yeah, depending upon what assistance Brewer has for information in this race, whether it's from iRacing or some friends who are watching, or maybe he's watching the broadcast, he knows that Silva's not going to make it. There's no point in fighting Silva. You're going to slow yourself up by doing that. So just let him go. Just pull up, let him get under you, and let him go. Maybe you suck a small bit of a toe off of him, and maybe it helps you down the line, but there's no point to fight him.
And Snyder has also gotten by Tomes. So Tim Tomes's unfortunate latter quarter of the race after making contact with that piece of front wing debris, he's dropped to 6th. Still a decent result, but he's not going to be happy. He led so much of the early stages of the race, and looks like unless things change very drastically, he will not be the winner of this race. The driver who will likely be the winner is his teammate David Graybill, but there's still 19 laps to go. Nothing is decided, and John Silva's still your leader. He still hasn't brought it in, and now he does. Speaking of the devil, he's in.
Let's watch this pit delta here. This is a little early, so I think is just going to try a gas and go, I would think. Just barely splash it with gas. I'll be surprised if he puts tires on it. You just got to take the minimum amount of gas to the end and see what happens. So obviously Graybill is now going to see on your screen, going to run around. I can say from watching myself, Silva is not in his pit box yet. He has just stopped. So, I mean, Graybill is going to get around him. And Silva's still in his pit box. So there you go. So he now leaves.
7.9 seconds, so it was a quick stop. He put less fuel in the car than the others did. He only has 18 laps left to go, so he's made up some time, and he is still in second, but that's critically 13 more seconds than he wanted between him and Graybill.
Now, here's the interesting thing to think about. There's a couple of factors in play. One, Silva will have newer tires and potentially now thinks he has the gas to make it. He should no longer be in fuel saving mode. He can put the pedal to the floor, so to speak. The other thing to think about, though, the flip side, though, is, as you said, only a 7.9 second stop. That means less gas he's probably had in the car before. His weight jacker settings may not be what they've been all night. This, something to think about, but he should be able to get full throttle here, and we'll see if he can make some time up. I don't think he will. It's going to be 14 seconds off the gap here when he crossed the line. We'll see what happens for the rest of the race, though.
Silva's worrying me a little bit because those first two corners in 1 and 2, he almost clipped the curb. He's running very, very low. He's being very aggressive, desperate to make up as much time as he can. Much safer through 3 this time. And let's watch him through 4. How much does he cut down? Only down to the white line. So he's learned his lesson. I think he might have spooked himself in 1 and 2. But Silva, desperate to bring that gap down. Even if he still is half a second a lap faster than Graybill, he was actually 4/10 a lap faster that time. There's only 16 laps left, so he can only make up 8 seconds, which would be a gap of 5 seconds by the finish of the race. So he really needs that caution.
Oh, yeah, he definitely needs a caution, or he needs to get more comfortable in the car, or a nitrous boost or something, where he's just not going to get there. I mean, Graybill has run a great race. We've talked a lot about watching. He's here now with his teammate. They've been together all night. You go to the inside here.
This is to lap Tim Tomez, and yeah, pretty straightforward. I don't think Tomez would have put up too much of a fight there.
No, in fact, that was almost scared me for a second when they got side by side. Like, what are you guys doing? Oh, okay, he's just letting him by, because that would be what Silva wants to see. Would be, oh yeah, let them fight it out side by side and let me be full throttle.
$15 to go. Little bit closer. Isaac Snyder has closed that gap between him and Garand, so Garand in the fight for 4th here. That might not be decided. It's down to 2.5 seconds. Speaking of half a second faster, Snyder is half a second faster than Garand. And you know who I just saw back out on the track? Pedro Palladino is back out on track. But he's got to keep that car under him for 15 more laps.
He's already back down on the access road for 3 and 4, so maybe he's thought better of it. But yeah, I saw the same thing. I had the same thought you did. And he's coming back down pit road.
That's interesting that he just went for 1 lap. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish here because he's 36 laps down. He can't actually catch the next car ahead, which is Matt Crockett. I wonder if he got a penalty or something.
There's no penalty. There's no black flag showing, so I'm not sure.
Strange.
I don't know. Yeah, strange indeed. Maybe he wasn't happy with how the car was handling when he went out. I'm not sure. Let's look at this interval time here. This is Silva and Graybill you're seeing on your screen. Look at those lap times, and you'll see that Graybill and Silva, you'll see their lap times there.
Yeah, Silva is obviously faster, but he needs... Oh, and Palladino's crashed in the pit lane as I saw him trying to leave his box, but we won't look at that. Graybill and Silva, 11.8 seconds. Literally the only thing that can save Silva is either a mistake or a caution. And Graybill has been so rock solid these past couple laps. If you're in the shoes of David Graybill here, you've got 12 laps to go. You've got an absolutely massive lead over second. What are you thinking in the cockpit here? Are you really focused on still hitting every apex, or are you just cruising now and making sure you don't crash? You're not necessarily driving the fastest laps.
A little bit of both, actually, because here's the danger. And we talk about backing it up and backing down your pace and slowing it down. That's probably not how you've practiced. And there's a difference in what apex is, or when you hit the apex, or how you hit the apex. If you maybe are in 6th gear fuel saving versus when you're in 5th gear. So be careful. I mean, I would be calm here. There's no reason to race hard. There's no reason to be, racing down right up against the curbs and the corners. Just, have a good time. Enjoy yourself. This is a moment where time is relative between these drivers. I guarantee you, right now for David Graybill, these last laps feel like forever. It feels like they're never going to end. For John Silva, they couldn't stop moving time if he wanted to. It's just, That's the difference in relative time for these two drivers right now. I mean, Silva's still going to keep closing that gap. And you see he's got it down to less than 11 seconds now. He's already gained over 4 seconds since his pit stop. But he knows time is running out quickly. For David Graybill, time is standing still. Could we please get this over with? Is all he's got to be thinking.
10 laps to go. It's been a long race. We're almost at the 3-hour mark here, but David Graybill, an absolute dominant lead at the moment. The strategy has well and truly fallen in his favor. His teammates fallen back with a little bit of damage. The other drivers have not quite mastered the strategy as much as he has, but my only question is, with 9 laps to go, Graybill's done 21 laps on this stint. You can do 30 laps easily, but my question is, could something happen with Graybill? Could he have used a little bit too much fuel? Could he have underfueled in his pit stop? Is there any chance that could have happened? I'm sure Silva's hoping that's happened, but could Graybill have made a mistake like that?
Anything is possible. That's why we run the race, as you said earlier. But I don't think so. I think at this point, I would imagine it was a full stop. I mean, Graybill is showing no signs right now of that being a concern. If that were a concern, this gap would be closing quicker. Graybill would be up in 6th gear in the corners. I think at this point, Graybill is just full confidence that this is his race to win. Now, what's hard to do at this point when you know that moment and you feel that in your stomach, right about now, the butterflies are kicking in, the nerves, you're getting anxious. You're like, oh my gosh, I might actually do this. And you really, it gets in your head. I don't care if it's an Indy 500, a Daytona 500, a Daytona 24. These last closing laps, you get so excited, and you have to keep that under control because you let those thoughts overwhelm your head. You'll get distracted, and then you could make a mistake.
Gap is down to 8.7 seconds. It's, again, just about half a second per lap. Actually up to 6/10 per lap, but with 7 laps to go, 7 times 7 is 4.9 seconds. Still, that's going to be like a 3.4 second gap between Graybill and Silva. So while he is catching actually faster than predicted, Graybill's going to know that cushion. He's going to know the gap. He's going to know how fast Silva's coming. And I think he'll still be feeling pretty comfortable in that car. I want to take a look back while we can at the Snyder and Garand chase. Unfortunately, Snyder had made up that gap quite a bit, but it's now 1.7 seconds. He lost 0.6 on the last lap, so there's the time comparison there. Snyder had been catching, but he did not have a good lap number, 192.
Just interesting note, that's your race leader right behind him, by the way. That's Graybill coming up behind him. So the only thing that could help Silva, and I don't think it will help enough, would be if Graybill catches these guys. What does traffic do? Does it help, Snyder at all? Or not Snyder, Silva, pardon me. Does it help Silva at all? So just a small note there. That could become a possibility.
Matt Brewer just pitted again.
Wow, Brewer is in. That really messes with my head a little bit. That makes me think he didn't get enough gas. He short pitted, hoping for something. We talked about earlier about how could he make up 13 seconds, and I said he would have to try to play with pit road. I think that's probably what happened there.
And now that battle between Garand and Snyder, if it becomes a battle, is now the battle for the podium, as it seems Matt Brewer has made a fuel calculation mistake. He falls off the podium, and he falls back to 6th place. He's actually behind Tim Tomez now. So Tim Tomez advances up into the top 5, as David Graybill will cross the line here. 5 laps to go at Indianapolis.
5 laps to go is correct. And you see that gap is kind of starting to not shrink as much as it was before between Graybill and Silva. So right now, Graybill is just nervous. He's anxious. At this point, mind you, a caution could end the race. Yeah, after this, because there's an IndyCar has no such thing as a green-white checker. This is the point of no return, as some iRacing broadcasters like to call it. So now, if you're Silva, that idea of a caution happening isn't even doable. I mean, it's going to help, oh my goodness, a little bit, as Pitbull got a little high in that corner, got a little squirrely. But yeah, now we're just racing it out.
4 to go, more like 3.5 as David Graybill goes down the back straight. He's going to catch Snyder and Garand here. I don't think he'll actually be able to pass them, but he could play a role in this battle. Snyder is continually catching Garand. It's almost down to a second, but unfortunately he may run into the bubble there and not actually be able to catch up any further. There's a little bit of smoke in pit lane. I don't think it's anything to worry about. But the battle for third is the decisive battle here. Look, well, we see the lap comparison between Silva and Graybill here. Silva is still catching, but unfortunately it seems like there just aren't enough laps left for him to do it, but crazier things have happened.
This is an event I've yet to conquer. This is an event I've yet to be able to feel that moment. By the way, here comes Snyder down pit road. There's Snyder pitting.
Snyder couldn't make it.
Snyder could not make it.
Loses that battle for the podium, and Garand is going to be very happy inside that car because he will be on the podium guaranteed from 25th on the grid. That's the second to last row, so well done, Jeremy Garand, for staying out there. David Graybill right behind him, the number 47. Down the back straight here, he will take the white flag this time, and then it'll be 2.5 miles between him and Indianapolis Glory.
I tell you what, I have to tell you that I started saying a minute ago, I've not conquered this event yet. I can't imagine the feeling right now. I'm sure there's a smile from ear to ear on Graybill's face.
White flag in the hands of Barney the Flagman, David Graybill. He's led here at mile number 497.5, and he's only got 2.5 miles to go. No caution will come out because we're on the white flag lap. David Graybill, all he has to do is drive it to the finish. Half of the lap to go. He's got Jeremy Garand up ahead, but he will not have to worry about that. Garand runs up high. He might get out of the way here, or he might run alongside Graybill to get in that victory shot. But one way or another, David Graybill down to the bottom, the run to the line, the yard of bricks, the month of May begins, and David Graybill wins the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500.
It's a great run. That's absolutely a great job by Graybill. That's amazing. Like that is strategy done so well. Congratulations.
John Silva brings it home P2, and Jeremy Garand lost the lead lap in the final corner, but something tells me he doesn't care, because that's P3 for the number 55 driver. We're going to throw it to a quick break here, and when we come back, hopefully, we will have the top three, including our winner, David Graybill. Come right back. Welcome back to the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's been a marathon, but we have completed 500 virtual miles, and it was David Graybill, the winner after those 500 miles. John Silva, he tried his best, 4.4 seconds at the line, but just a little bit too few laps for him. Jeremy Garand brings it home third. Tim Tomez, Matt Brewer were the last cars on that one lap down lap. Isaac Snyder, a little bit of troubles at the end, but still P6. Matt Crockett, Pedro Palladino, Anthony Garcia, and Silvio Roberto Sanchez round out the top 10.
All right, let's go and take a look here. P11 is Eric Jeffrey. P12 is Nick McClellan. P13 is going to go to Ken Reigel. P14, Glenn Fagan. Zach Kerr in 15th. William Kruska, your event organizer, in 16. Scott Rickard, 17. And then Aiden Aquino, Wilhelm Layton, and David Grantham round out your top 20.
Yeah, it's a much bigger used car lot than usual, but here's the rest of that used car lot. Jason Chilton, Russell Peets, Lucas Davila, Matt Zaccardo, Chris Gow, Evan Lambert, and Latham Joyner. 200 laps down. He was out on lap 1. But the driver who survived all 200 laps, survived them ahead of everybody else. David Graybill, you're a winner. 4th to 1st, absolutely dominant in that final stage of the race. I'm just wondering, what were you thinking with that 16-second gap at the end? What was your mindset like trying to hold on to that lead at the end there?
Well, I appreciate it, Joey. Thank you guys for broadcasting the race. I was going to be great on fuel till Isaac pulled in with an early stop on, I believe it was lap 173. After that, John had enough pace to really make it interesting. Luckily, it was never really in doubt. I just had to avoid lap traffic or an untimely yellow. All in all, I'm proud of the 3 hours we spent there, and bringing home a win is always a good feeling.
Yeah, it looked like you and, at least early on, you and Tim were glued together. Were you guys actually working together as teammates there? Were you planning to do that?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of prep for the Open Indy 500 here in about 2 weeks. We were hoping we'd have it set up here tonight where we'd be able to do a little slingshot and try to pull away from the field. And John was our competition all night, and being stuck in a race where you can't pass made it pretty tough. So at the very beginning, we ended up stretching that opening stint out to, I believe, 52 laps. And that allowed us to be on a different strategy, and the yellows luckily fell where we were ahead of him, because when you're second, third, fourth in line, you can't get around with the setup we were running. So going a little off strategy there worked in our favor.
Well, speaking of the Open Indy 500, that's the next real big Indy 500 event that's coming up on iRacing here. You mentioned that you were doing a little bit of setup testing here. It's a full distance race. I guess that's the best possible way to test it. But what can you take from this event to whatever the next iRacing Indy 500 race you run is?
Yeah, so today was a fixed event. So we were limited in what we could really learn and take away. Big step was really getting a feel for the burn rate on the different fuel maps. So if you go back and look at the lap times when Tim and I were leading early, we were clicking off a lot of laps in map 1, map 3, map 5, just to build a kind of a baseline percentage gap for the month of May. It really does stink that Tim ran over some debris from a unfortunate yellow kind of late in the race. He was in great shape there to be P2 at worst, but we took away a lot of good data, and walking out with the trophy is always nice.
All right, well, congrats again on your win. And before we kick you out, anyone you want to thank for this victory today, other than the Prue Day?
Yeah, of course. Always a shout out to Marshall Pruitt, but I'd like to thank the whole Scours team. We had Eddie Layton on strategy tonight. Our sponsors, the Practice Sec, Graybill LLC, and Guardian Brewing. They allow us to do this. Always thanks to them, but thank you again for broadcasting. We appreciate all you do.
Oh, and actually, I do have one more question. Derek Watson has thrown a question in the chat. What kind of milk do you want for this win?
Oh, I have a whole thing of whole milk downstairs. We're about to hop in the shower, grab it, and then douse ourselves in whole milk.
That is what iRacing is all about. Milk in the shower. David Graybill, your 500-mile winner here at Indianapolis. Congrats once again to David. Looks like we've got third placed Jeremy Garand next, and he's with Derek Watson.
All right, he's the driver of that Menards car, Jeremy Garand. Jeremy, P3 tonight, held on to the very end on a lap down at the last second, but good job tonight. Tell us how you felt about the race.
No, I appreciate it, man. That was a great run by all the guys. Once we got through that first third, first half, good green runs, and man, I'll tell you, some of those guys up front, man, they clean racing, liked it. Like you said, man, it was definitely down to the wire towards the end. I had my dad spotting, and man, he was coaching me with the short shifting to sixth gear and easy on throttle. You know, getting off early, getting on later, and just I think yeah, if if David didn't get by me at the very end, man, I think we would have been running out of fuel. So it worked out perfect, man. It was a blast, man. And William really put together a great race for all the guys just to get together for these 500. So always a blast, always a blast.
Yeah, you took my next question. I was going to ask how you were doing on fuel, but you don't think you would have made it around again?
I knew it. I was coming around. I was at like 0.7, 0.6 laps. Man, I figured, all right, let David get by me so I could get by the line, because otherwise I only had about half a lap for that last lap. That I had to time it out that way. So I hate it. I'd rather be fighting for a race towards the end, but you know what? Sometimes it comes down to fuel, right?
That's right. Well, this is good practice for the Indy 500s, coming up within iRacing. So good job there. Anyone you want to thank? Anyone you want to say hello to?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, again, like my dad up late tonight with me, spotting for me, coaching me on the fuel. BRM Racing, road racing team, going on about 2 years with them, and then Time Will Tell Motorsports with Clayton White. He took me on over the fall, and man's been coaching me a lot. So no, just great guys on the community. Really appreciate you guys broadcasting, and looking forward to the next one for sure.
All right. Well, he finished P3 tonight. Driver of the 55. That is Jeremy Garand.
And it looks like we got one more sitting there. He was so kind to speak to us during the race under caution and maybe told us a little bit too much. But Isaac Snyder, you brought it home in the end. I guess my first question is, what happened at the end there with you ended 2 laps down. You brought it down pit road with a couple laps to go. What happened?
Yeah, basically the car just kind of wobbled out into the wall. I knew the right rear seemed a little off, so I came to the pits, and sure enough, it had a meatball, so I just took it, came back out, and did one little lap. That's about it. But yeah, I got a little overconfident, came in, didn't take tires, and that's probably what did it. Just overheated the right front. Couldn't really do much about that.
Well, we looked at the track temperatures during the race, and it seemed like they were in the 120s, 130s Fahrenheit. It was super hot. How did that affect the race, in your opinion, and how did that affect how you had to change your driving style here?
I think overall it made it not as racy as it should have been. There seemed to have been about like a second bubble between everybody. So once you got inside, that 1.3, 1.2, it was kind of you're just kind of yo-yoing off the person in front of you. So I was trying there at the end. I was trying just different things with the front end, just try to loosen or soften it, just to try to get as much mechanical grip as I can, rather than using the front wing. But yeah, I tried everything I could, and ended up in the wall. And it's a bit hot. Didn't really kill tires too much. It's hard to follow and hard to pass.
And this was the first big 500-mile event for a lot of drivers, but in the next coming weeks, we've got the iRacing 500s, we've got the Majors 500. How many of them are you doing, and how much are you looking forward to driving 1,000 more miles around this place?
I'm doing all 3 of the next 500s. You got the fixed one, the open one, and then in the major series. So I'll be in the international split doing that. That's going to be a really long morning for me. It'll start at like 3 in the morning, probably end at.
Isaac Snyder should join the Proclaimers because he drove 500 miles. He's going to drive 500 more and 500 more and 500 more. And there's my reference for the night. Before we kick you out of here, anyone you want to thank in addition to the Proclaimers?
I'd like to thank my sponsors, Butt Kicker, my team, Vector, RSR. They've been pretty helpful with stuff. I did the paint, so I'll thank myself for that. Thank my parents for always being supportive. Girlfriend, too, has always been pretty supportive. She fell asleep, though. She's working 2 jobs, but that's all right. And then, just having the opportunity to for Will to put this on every year. And I was in it last year, and it was still a blast. Happy to be here again, so looking forward to it for next year. And you guys for putting on a good broadcast and dragging me in and out of the room. But yeah, thank you everybody, and see you guys around at some point.
And that was your 6th place finisher, Isaac Snyder, but, second place in the booth. That's as good as you can ask for. Isaac Snyder, we'll see him again in the Majors Indy 500 here on GSRC, but that is it here from Indianapolis. Derek, it's been a long night. We've been here for a while, but it was a race of strategy. It was a race of attrition. It was a race of excitement. What are your final thoughts?
All of that is correct. It was a race of attrition. It was a race of excitement. It was a race of drama. It was a race of what ifs. That's what we want from any Indy 500. Often, very rarely do they come down to last second passes or close finishes. They come down to strategy, and tonight was no different. What a great event.
What a great event. What a great event indeed, if I can say these compliments correctly. But that is it from our broadcast here of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500. We'd like to thank all the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. They're all listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the entire team who helped put on this broadcast today. And thanks to all the viewers for tuning in. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Link is in the description below. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a single moment here on GSRC. We also have upcoming... Check those out, mark them down in your calendar, and come back here for them. Well, for Derek Watson and Joe Peak and Dougie Beard, I'm Joey Tebben. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.